Chapter 614. Breakthrough to Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm Perfection. 1,000,000,000,000 years of lifespan could endure 100 tribulations. Rapid prompts flashed in front of Guan's eyes, with no change in length, meaning all failed. Guan was not at all panicked. He continued to invest 1,000,000,000,000 years of his lifespan. His eyes were constantly focused on the prompts in front of him. In the mysterious and eerie Hongmeng Great World, purple mist surged. As Guan continuously invested lifespan, when he had poured in 5,000,000,000,000 years, his face finally showed a change. He began to have an ominous feeling, but fortunately, he still had 15,000,000,000,000 years of lifespan left, so there was no need to panic. After investing another 2,000,000,000,000 years of lifespan, the prompts finally changed. You have practiced Qi absorption cultivation for 87,000,000,000,000 years. You forcefully attack the Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm with the great achievement of the Taoist Dominator skill. Begin the tribulation and fail to endure the unrestrained heavenly creation of great celestial tribulation. Tribulation failed. You have practiced Qi absorption cultivation for 88,000,000,000,000 years. You forcefully attack the Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm with the great achievement of the Taoist Dominator skill. Begin the tribulation and endure the unrestrained heavenly creation of great celestial tribulation. Tribulation succeeded. Your cultivation level breaks through to the early stage of Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm. You have practiced Qi absorption cultivation for 100,000,000,000,000 years. Your cultivation level has been elevated. At last, a successful breakthrough. A smile bloomed on Guan's face, and the spiritual energy of the Hongmeng Great World surged wildly, with him being swallowed by the Tao light. He didn't stop there, continuing to invest lifespan into his cultivation. The last breakthrough didn't reach the realm of perfection in one go, leaving him somewhat regretful. This time he must meet his standard. In the end, Guan successfully reached the perfection of Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm, with 7,500,000,000,000 years of lifespan still remaining. Guan closed his eyes contentedly, immersing himself in the fortune brought by Miaojin Daluo Immortal. As the spiritual energy in the Hongmeng Great World began to surge, the invisible Tao rules also began to tremble, and ethereal auspicious lights appeared in the void, featuring various colors. Towards the end, even lightning appeared within the void, a destructive aura spreading throughout the cosmic vacuum. An hour later, Guan finally broke through to the Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm. He still bathed in the Tao light, and sprouts rapidly sprouted from the top of his head, flowering and fruiting. After the fruit grew, it burst into golden light, forming countless points of light, like a galaxy floating above his head. He slowly opened his eyes. The heaven-opening Daluo Immortal can create worlds, even those surpassing the ordinary Great Thousand World, while Miaojin Daluo Immortal can transform the world into its own power, condensing the Miaojin Dharma aspect, whose creation is endless. The Miaojin Dharma aspect is composed of the 3,000 Great Tao, but one Tao acts as the main body, which is wonderfully similar to the Tao universe known to Guan. This Dharma aspect is different from the immortal Tao Dharma aspect, capable of achieving everything that Miaojin Daluo Immortal desires, able to create, destroy, and even devour everything. Guan hesitated. Should his Miaojin Dharma aspect be mainly the path of cause and effect or the path of power? After much deliberation, he decided to make the path of power the main focus. He needed pure strength. Moreover, he was only creating the Miaojin Dharma aspect, not abandoning the path of cause and effect. After deciding, Guan closed his eyes again, creating the Miaojin Dharma aspect deep within his soul. Various thoughts burst from the depths of his mind, making his mood increasingly joyful. The creation process was not strenuous. It was easy and even felt refreshing. Time continued to pass. Middle stage of Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm. Late stage of Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm. Perfection of Miaojin Daluo Immortal Realm. Guan opened his eyes, his pupils reflecting silhouettes, all of which were his reincarnation bodies. During the creation of the Miaojin Dharma aspect, Guan thought about the relationship between the heavenly Tao and the celestial court, so he integrated the celestial dragon reincarnation Dharma aspect into the Miaojin Dharma aspect. His reincarnation body would be a god within the Miaojin Dharma aspect, creating even greater power. Utilizing the Miaojin Dharma aspect in battle would be an unimaginable method for all living beings. If he wished to oppose the celestial spirit great world, he could, in a single thought, use the Miaozhen Dharma aspect to devour the celestial spirit great world, turning all beings into his slaves and dominating all aspects of their lives, including their spiritual intelligence. This was a terrifying ability. And in the battle between the Miaozhen Daluo immortals, the Miaozhen Dharma aspect would be used to its extreme, resulting in a collision of great Tao against great Tao, powerful enough to crush the universe. Gu En hadn't completely lost himself. He looked at his attribute panel. He still had 2,100,000,000,000 years of lifespan, not bad. This breakthrough cost a total of 1,800,000,000,000 years of lifespan. For the next breakthrough, at least 5 trillion years of lifespan would be required. Gu En's mouth curled upward, feeling the surge of his newfound powerful mana. Euphoric. This breakthrough also transformed his great Tao intent. His power had undergone an earth-shattering change. The celestial spirit god was getting farther and farther away from him. Gu En didn't teleport back immediately. Instead, he cast his gaze towards the edge of the Hongmeng Great World. The Hongmeng Great World had no connection to the path of the Great Tao nor any space-time channels, seeming like an isolated universe that continuously extended endlessly. There were no beings he recognized here, but there was some kind of will being stirred by the anomalies caused by his breakthrough. Under Gu En's gaze, a terrifying figure, almost imperceptible, wandered in the darkness, only perceivable by those possessing the Daluo Dao fruit. Its shape resembled a dragon. Its forelimbs and claws were as long as a dragon's body, its head crowned with antler-like appendages that stood tall like mountain peaks. 2 river-like entities flowed around its neck, the nature of which even Gu En couldn't discern. Celestial Judge Cheong Luo, Middle Stage of Celestial Creation, Daluo Immortal Realm 907, 872, 609, 327, 874/2, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000/5, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000, 000, such a long number. 5 trillion years of maximum lifespan. If killed, that would be a fortune. Gu En thought to himself, of course, he wouldn't do that. He had no desire to become Long Zhan. Besides, he currently needed lifespan, but it wasn't urgent. Gu En looked in other directions, curious if there were other beings within the Hongmeng Great World. On looking, indeed, he found many wills. They had no flesh, but each was powerful, the weakest among them possessing the cultivation level of a Taiqing Golden Immortal Realm. The Hongmeng Great World was truly not simple. Suddenly, Gu En's gaze fixed in one direction. Far in the distance, infinite Hongmeng purple qi coalesced into a huge egg, larger than the entire celestial spirit great world, surrounded by swirling Hongmeng purple qi. Gu En couldn't use lifespan detection on it, nor could he see through its true nature. Though curious, he had no intentions of disturbing it. It appeared the Hongmeng Great World harbored many secrets. Gu En watched from within the lifespan barrier for a while before choosing to teleport back. This return trip consumed another 100 billion years of lifespan. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Back in the celestial spirit great world, Gu En stood in a forest, opening his eyes to see, one by one, great thousand worlds, cosmic domains, little worlds, and mortal realms entering his view. But he couldn't see the Hongmeng Great World. Beyond this universe there was another universe. Above this heaven and earth there was another heaven and earth. He seemed to exist in an infinite world, which made him reflect on the enduring nature of the Great Tao. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 615 Celestial God Cataclysm. Gu En stood in the forest for a while. Then he withdrew his gaze and stepped forward. With one step, he returned to the Taoist field of the beginningless. Due to Tian Hao's return, the disciples gathered in Gu En's courtyard, creating a lively scene. They listened to Tian Hao recount his experiences over the years, occasionally expressing their admiration, giving great face to Tian Hao, whose smile never faded. Tian Hao was narrating a battle with a peerless genius when his gaze suddenly turned to the courtyard wall, where he saw Guwen's figure. "Master!" Tian Hao exclaimed in surprise, drawing the attention of others who turned to look and saw Guwen return, prompting everyone to rise. As Guwen walked into the courtyard, Tian Hao approached him excitedly, saying, "Master, I've broken through to the Tao Void profound immortal realm." Hearing this, Guwen revealed a smile and said, "Not bad. You haven't been negligent. Disciple, your master has broken through to the Miaozhen Daluo immortal realm." Guwen said this to himself in his heart. He would never reveal his true strength to others, not even to those closest to him. The Tao Void profound immortal realm is strong, but it still falls far short of Guwen. Guwen walked towards the crowd, with Tian Hao following beside him, continuing to share his gains. In front of others, he might be humble, but in front of Guwen, he truly sought praise. After a while, everyone sat around the artifact refining cauldron, with Xinzhen and an Xian also arriving, and they all chatted about worldly affairs together. Aside from Tian Hao, only an Xian, Shenzhen, Celestial Demon Child, Celestial Cyan, and Tian Bai occasionally ventured out of the dojo. The others always stayed within, cherishing such opportunities to learn about the outside world, hence the spirited atmosphere. Nowadays, in the human world, there are many sects worshipping immortal gods. I used to think these sects were all frauds until hundreds of years ago when I encountered a genius from such a sect, who unleashed power beyond his cultivation level, truly surprising me. Tian Hao brought up this topic with a reflective look. He turned to Guwen and asked, "Master, how do you view immortal gods? Do real immortal gods exist? I mean those born as gods, controlling everything, not the strong ones cultivated." Everyone else also looked at Guwen, anticipating his answer. Guwen responded, "In this world constructed by the great Tao, any being you can imagine might indeed exist, but no one possesses absolute power." Tian Hao fell into contemplation. The others wondered, compared to immortal gods, who is stronger, our master or the gods? Guwen then posed a question to everyone. If thousands of years pass and you have reached the pinnacle of the celestial spirit great world, will you stay here or seek a higher path? The celestial demon child immediately replied, "Master, wherever you go, I will follow." Blood Prison Great Saint gave her a sharp glance. How could she respond so quickly? To prevent others from following suit with flattery, Guwen shook his head and said, "Think carefully about this question. Don't rush to answer." He stood up and walked towards his house. Having just made a breakthrough, he prepared to reassess his Miaozhen Dharma aspect. Who knows who will be fortunate enough to first experience the power of his Miaozhen Dharma aspect. Under the sunlight, the summer wind stirred the flowers and grass in the mountains, creating waves of green, a sight so beautiful that it could refresh anyone's soul. Liya stood on a mountain ridge, his expression odd as he looked at the person before him. The person standing before him was none other than the golden extreme god from the celestial court. Even while roaming the human world, the golden extreme god wore no disguise, not even concealing his golden divine armor. Under the sunlight, his armor reflected an unusual brilliance. Again with that, an old Taoist once said the same to you. You people are really something. Liya couldn't help but speak sarcastically. He was referring to the deity of the moon who had offered him immortal brew, scaring him initially, but after many years with nothing eventful, he realized he had been duped. Hearing Li Ya's response, Golden Extreme God arched an eyebrow, his calculations causing his expression to become intriguing. Seeing him put on airs, Liya grew even more irritated. The world is really full of more and more charlatans. Liya immediately turned and prepared to leave. You truly have become an innate body, just that you lack a suitable cultivation technique, which is why you haven't felt your own transformation. The voice of the Golden Extreme God came again, making Liya pause in his steps. Liya half turned, looking sidelong at the Golden Extreme God, and asked, "Oh? Then can you tell me what an innate body is?" The Golden Extreme God, expressionless, said, "Everything has an origin, so does the human race. The very first of the human race were born on a higher plane, naturally possessing innate bodies, capable of comprehending the great Tao. Now, you possess the qualities of your ancestors, unmatched by anyone in this realm. Leah wasn't surprised. He asked with interest, "Then can you pass on to me the cultivation technique of the innate human race?" Search * the novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. "Of course I can," the Golden Extreme God replied. However what? Faced with Lia's persistent query, the Golden Extreme God did not answer anymore. Instead, he raised his right hand, causing a ring of light to form next to him, expanding rapidly, turning pitch black inside. Leah frowned. He wasn't panicked and continued to stand his ground in wait. Soon, the ring of light grew taller than the Golden Extreme God, and within it, a blood-colored figure could be vaguely seen. Seeing this figure, Leah furrowed his brows tighter, feeling an intense aura of bloodlust. "This person is from the innate human race. Let him be your opponent. You're of the same realm. If you can defeat him, then you are worthy of receiving everything you desire." As the words of the Golden Extreme God fell, Lia's pupils widened suddenly. Clang! Leah drew the 9 Extremes Sacred Heart Sword with incredible speed, blocking another sword that resembled a shark tooth with his blade. A long-haired man enveloped in a bloody aura appeared before Leah. This man was bare-chested with muscles like tree roots coiling over his flesh, creating a strong visual impact. What powerful chi power! Leah inwardly gasped, his arms trembling. With a bang, a terrifying force exploded, instantly obliterating the green grass across the hills, turning the continuous mountains into wasteland, darkening heaven and earth. Leah and the long-haired man turned into 2 beams of sword chi shooting into the sky, with myriad sword chi descending from the heavens, ravaging the earth and mountains, with explosions occurring one after another, shaking the heavens and earth. The Golden Extreme God looked up with a cold gaze. "It's too slow. Perhaps it's time to give the human world a little push, to let the mortal spirits know who is protecting them." The Golden Extreme God muttered to himself, the ring of light beside him growing ever larger, with shadows walking out of it, each not weaker than the long-haired man. Far away inside the Taoist field of the beginningless, Guan opened his eyes. His eyes reflected the figure of the Golden Extreme God. The fate of heaven and earth changed. All because the Golden Extreme God harbored ulterior motives. He intended to use his bred innate human race to suppress the world, then play the role of a celestial God-savior. However, things wouldn't go as he wished, thus attracting more consequences from outer heaven. Playing God with such a mindset shows a lack of reverence for the great Tao. Guan murmured softly. He did not regard the Golden Extreme God highly. He just didn't want to be disturbed, but if indeed there were changes, then he would be forced to harvest lifespan. Even a mighty celestial God couldn't foresee that his selfishness would bring about a disaster that could overturn his dominion. The so-called power seems only to be strong enough in their own eyes. Even the strongest cultivators couldn't see through their own fate. Guan gained a deeper understanding of fate and causality. He began to deduce along the lines of the Golden Extreme God. He saw many figures. Inside the Golden Extreme God, there was a world hiding an army capable of destroying the Great Thousand World. He saw thousands of companions beside the Golden Extreme God. He also saw a figure standing above the Great Tao, overlooking all heavens. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 616 Wuxia appears. Guan watched Li Ya's battle and was quite satisfied with Li Ya's growth. The Golden Extreme God intended to recruit Li Ya and would not let him die, so Guan had no intention of intervening. It had been tens of thousands of years. It was time to let the human world experience some turbulence. Trials could be opportunities for all living beings. Peace does not necessarily mean safety, and great destruction could lead to rebirth from nirvana. Guan continued to close his eyes and refine his Miaotian Dharma aspect. In the years that followed, in less than a decade, the innate human race released by the Golden Extreme God became a major scourge in the world. This innate human race had a heaven-encompassing free immortal, more than 10 profound yuan free immortals, and cultivators from various realms below that. Even the least among them possessed the immortal Tao realm. They rampaged everywhere, slaughtering living beings to establish their territories, causing shock throughout the world. Being prisoners of the golden extreme god, they saw this as their only hope, so they fought fiercely, even if it meant making enemies of the whole world, and they did so with insanity. Yet the most powerful, the heaven-encompassing free immortal, kept a low profile, never making a move, uncertain of whom he was wary about. Time flew swiftly. 100 years had passed since the golden extreme god released the innate human race, and they had become the most feared race in all the world. Although they were of the human race, their methods were brutal. They claimed innate supremacy, earning the disdain of the human race in the celestial spirit great world. The innate human race not only killed, but they also conquered human imperial dynasties and sects, spreading their descendants and forming numerous factions in the human world, bringing disasters everywhere. At noon this day, Xiaolan returned to her grotto heaven. She made her way to Gu An's side. Guan was meditating by the lake, seemingly deep in concentration, but he was actually pretending. Brother Gu, the Tao court is preparing to expel the innate human race. I too must go to battle. It might be many years before I can return. Xiaolan sat beside Guan and spoke. She was neither frightened nor reluctant to leave Guan. Her heart was filled with anticipation and excitement. After tens of thousands of years of cultivation, she finally saw a chance to demonstrate her strength. She was still in the carefree primordial immortal realm, but not far from advancing to the divine immortal of wondrous Dharma realm. Guan looked at her and said sentimentally, "My dear Laner is really grown up, about to become a savior. Not really, I'm just following the seniors to battle. Of course, if I come across someone suffering, I will lend a hand," Xiaolan said with a smile. The Tao court's ideals were upright, worthy of being the leaders of the righteous Tao, with the majority of disciples bearing the responsibility to relieve suffering. Encountering people in distress and not offering help would contradict the identity of a Tao court disciple. Due to Xiaolan's connection, Guan often visited the Tao court and established many contacts there, which allowed him to understand the Tao court from the grassroots level. While there were indeed dark affairs within the Tao court, the disciples believed that as long as these were exposed, the Tao court would provide the answers they sought. Xiaolan began to talk about the deeds of the innate human race. This group of the human race didn't come from outer heaven but suddenly sprang up in the human world, making the Tao court's higher-ups wary. Xiaolan heard from one of her free immortal masters that the Tao court had begun to inspect every secret realm in the human world to prevent future calamities like the innate human race. Guan pretended to be greatly enlightened, satisfying Xiaolan's desire to share. Once she recalls her past life memories, she won't be this lively anymore. Guan thought to himself, cherishing the current time they spent together. Though the soul had not changed, memories could affect one's personality. What couldn't change was only the innate nature. The two talked for several hours before Xiaolan finally got up to pack her things, and Guan continued pretending to cultivate. As Xiaolan left, he could also focus his attention elsewhere. When the Tao court officially declared war on the innate human race, the morale of all beings in heaven and earth surged. More and more sects, imperial dynasties, and races joined the siege against the innate human race, including the Chenkuan sect, the Taizong imperial dynasty, and the Supreme sect. However, even facing the siege of the entire world, the innate human race displayed terrifying strength. Even the great cultivators of the Tao court couldn't penetrate the territories established by the innate human race. Battles began to turn into the main melody of heaven and earth. Guan still frequented various dojos, picking mature medicinal herbs. Even though he had reached the level of the Miaozhen Daluo immortal, Guan didn't deliberately seek to increase his lifespan, maintaining a healthy rhythm that neither invited trouble nor overburdened him. As his old friends also got drawn into the conflict with the innate human race, his life became interesting, and watching his old friends' experiences added anticipation to his life. Ia the Novel Fire, NE*T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Battles among the strong were the easiest way to become famous. For mortal spirits, Cataclysms were disasters, but for those chosen ones, they were enormous stages. More and more chosen ones became famous throughout the world. Those guided by the golden extreme god all rose up, extensively promoting the celestial name of the profound star immortal monarch, thereby elevating his status in the hearts of all beings. 300 years had passed since Xiaolan joined the battle. Early in the morning, Guan returned to the Taoist field of the beginningless, holding the white spirit rat in his arms, which had become smaller compared to the past, about the size of a cat but still chubby. If you cause trouble in the mortal world again, I won't let you go out. Guan spoke as he walked, his tone somewhat strict. The white spirit rat shrunk its head, not daring to make a sound. A figure appeared under a tree ahead. It was Chun Chuan. He quickly came up to Guan and bowed, then hesitated to speak. Guan smiled. Speak what you wish to say. He already knew the purpose of Chun Chuan's visit, having contemplated this matter on his way. Nowadays, the innate human race is causing chaos. In the past years, evil demons of the innate human race attacked the Chinkuan sect. We want to go out and expel the innate human race. The Chinkuan sect has suffered many casualties due to the demons of the innate human race, and surely the mortals below are living even harder lives. Chun Chuan mustered his courage and spoke, his tone uneasy. Having stayed in the Taoist field of the beginningless for 70,000 years, he hadn't yet gone out, and he knew that his current strength was not yet enough to satisfy his master. Guan looked at him and said, Then go, and tell the others that anyone who wants to go can go. I allow you to use the Tao treasures, but once this calamity ends, you all must return. Chun Chuan was overjoyed and quickly thanked Guan, not expecting his master to agree so readily. He immediately went back to pass on the news. Guan continued to walk leisurely forward, constantly teaching the white spirit rat. Elsewhere, the disciples gathered together, hearing that Guan agreed to let them go. Everyone was delighted. Even the celestial demon child wanted to go. Indeed, our master still cares for all living beings of the world. We must perform well and not tarnish the name of the beginningless, Lv said excitedly. He had long wanted to go out and experience battles with the strong ones of the world. The others nodded, and after chatting for a while, they all went back to prepare, leaving only an Xian, Shenzhen, and the ghost mother of Ephemera unprepared to go. The ghost mother of Ephemera did not believe she was qualified to go. Shenzhen looked toward an Xian. Curious, aren't you going either? An Xian casually answered, I'll go when master lets me. I want to stay by his side and cultivate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 6:17 Tai Immortal Monarch. Shenzhen looked deeply into Nzin's eyes after hearing her words and suddenly felt that an Xian might be the last among these disciples to achieve the greatest success. After experiencing the mortal world, how many could return to dedicated cultivation? An Xian turned to look at Shenzhen and asked with a smile, Elder Shin, why don't you go out? Although Shenzhen's realm wasn't remarkable, and she hadn't sparred with them, with her Tao treasure, Shenzhen would be safe on outward journeys. Moreover, their master wouldn't just stand by idly. Even staying here in the dojo, I can still experience the mortal world, Shenzhen said softly with a laugh. With that, she turned and walked away. An Xian stared at her receding figure, feeling that Shenzhen was somewhat profound and inscrutable. While they're away, I should focus on my cultivation to widen the gap between us. An Xian thought silently, a smile forming on her face. She didn't linger, exchanging a few words with the ghost mother of Ephemera before returning to her training. She was different from Chun Chuan, Lv, and others. She harbored grander ambitions and was committed to a more resolute path. Tai Tsong Continent, North Sea Mountain Ridge. The mountain god temple was nestled in the dense forest, where profound mystery Zhenren was watering the plants and flowers in the medicine garden. Over 80,000 years had passed, and he had become a celestial and earthly immortal, regarded as an immortal by all creatures of the North Sea Mountain Ridge. He had been courted by sects and imperial dynasties alike, all of which he declined. No one knew why he guarded the mountain god temple, many speculating he was indeed the mountain god, living in reclusion during times of peace, ready to descend the mountain when the world faced calamity. At that moment it was nearing noon. A series of panicked footsteps came from outside the temple, followed by an emaciated man in tattered clothes running inside. His hair was disheveled, his face streaked with blood. Upon seeing profound mystery Zhenren, he fell to his knees with a thump. "Immortal! Save me!" The skinny man cried out earnestly, his voice filled with misery. Profound mystery Zhenren didn't look at him and casually said, "Don't underestimate the power of the Taizong dynasty, and besides, I don't have the strength to save the world." Upon hearing this, the skinny man stopped crying and looked up at profound mystery Zhenren, asking, "Then, can you ask the mountain god to take action?" Profound mystery Zhenren halted his work and turned to look at him, his gaze calm. "You've been here 3 times. This is the 3rd. Are you so certain of the mountain god's existence?" Profound mystery Zhenren asked indifferently. He was no longer the naive person of the past. Today, he would mention the mountain god, but only as a legend, no longer fervently proclaiming his existence as he had before. It wasn't that he had ceased to revere the mountain god, but that he understood the mountain god's intentions. The mountain god was just one of that being's identities, as was the supporting Tao sword venerable. Rather than eternally protecting all living beings, the mountain god likely wished for them to possess the capability to protect their own world. Moreover, profound mystery Zhenren wasn't convinced that the innate human race was a dreadful existence, especially compared to the past cosmic calamities. The current situation seemed more like a well-prepared trial. Perhaps it was the work of the immortal gods spoken of in the world. At any rate, profound mystery Zhenren didn't believe in the legends of immortal gods like the profound star immortal monarch or the golden extreme god. Faced with profound mystery Zhenren's gaze, the skinny man revealed a look of panic. "No need for further pretense. Speak. What is your origin? And what is your purpose here?" Profound mystery Zhenren asked coldly, pressuring the man with the imposing aura of a celestial and earthly immortal. Boom! A shocking boom echoed from afar, and looking up, one could see a blood-red rainbow light appearing in the sky. The innate human race was battling fiercely against the Taizong imperial dynasty, and this conflict was affecting the entire Taizong continent. The surging aura from afar did not affect profound mysterious Zhenren as he looked coldly down at the gaunt man kneeling on the ground, his gaze icy, as if 2 blades were piercing through the man's heart. The gaunt man bowed his head as he slowly stood up. "It's rare to find a devotee like you in the human world, worshipping a non-existent mountain god here for tens of thousands of years. Your devotion has moved me." The gaunt man spoke, and his tone seemed transformed, lacking the previous panic. He slowly lifted his gaze, and his pupils turned an eerie silver blue, which made profound, mysterious Zhenren frown. "The mountain god you worship does not exist, but there are real immortal gods worthy of your devotion," said the gaunt man with a mysterious tone. Profound, mysterious Zhenren said mockingly, "Oh, you also believe in the profound star immortal monarch? And how will you prove the existence of profound star immortal monarch?" The gaunt man shook his head and said, "No, I do not follow profound star immortal monarch. I am a devotee of another immortal monarch, known as Tai immortal monarch. He is far greater than profound star immortal monarch. He has created and saved the world, and it is his great virtue that has earned him a position amongst the ranks of immortals, while profound star immortal monarch merely inherited his immortal position." Tai immortal monarch? Profound, mysterious Zhenren was hearing this name for the first time. He furrowed his brow and asked, "Who exactly are you?" The gaunt man replied, "Who I am is not important. I am simply a follower of Tai immortal monarch. My life once plunged into darkness without hope, and it was he who saved me. There are many like me in this world. You are not the first one I've sought out. Followers of Tai immortal monarch are unlike the lapdogs of profound star immortal monarch. They blindly proclaim his strength in ignorance." "Aren't you doing the same as them?" scoffed profound, mysterious Zhenren. The gaunt man smiled and said, "Naturally, it's different. I only speak of Tai, immortal monarch, to those who share our path. The immortal monarch once said that when he truly saves all living beings, then we can praise his name. The biggest difference between him and profound star immortal monarch is, he acts first and seeks recognition later." Profound, mysterious Jinren fell silent. He wondered what Tai immortal monarch's true intentions were. Could it be that both profound star immortal monarch and Tai immortal monarch truly exist, and they are engaged in an open and secret struggle, competing for the hearts of all living beings? He felt it was quite possible, and this thought made him somewhat disdainful of both immortal gods. Such behavior, how is it any different from mortals? The immortal gods in his heart should be high above, without a tint of mortal desires. The gaunt man took a step forward and said, "What's known as the innate human race are actually the slaves bred by the golden extreme god under profound star immortal monarch. Their madness stems from trying to grasp a sliver of hope. The human world now is a sea of suffering. Whether for us or the innate human race, everyone is struggling desperately. Only by believing in the coming of Tai immortal monarch can we see a glimmer of hope." Profound, mysterious Jinren asked, "If Tai immortal monarch is in charge of this matter, what need is there for you or me? The heavenly Tao has its celestial rules. Tai immortal monarch cannot descend directly unless there are people in this world who believe in him and appeal to the heavenly Tao with great vows. Then the heavenly Tao will permit his arrival. Our great vows do not require numbers, but a heart of devotion. My faith is not enough, perhaps due to my insufficient Tao practice, or maybe I haven't lived long enough. You have worshipped the mountain god for who knows how many years. The great vow you can bring must surpass mine." As the gaunt man spoke, his gaze towards profound, mysterious Jinren grew increasingly fervent. Hearing this, profound, mysterious Jinren lost interest and said, "Whether what you say is true or false, I only believe in the mountain god. Go find someone else. If the heavenly Tao does not allow Tai immortal monarch to descend, there must be another reasoning. The mountain god does not have such constraints." Comparing the two made profound, mysterious Zenrin's respect for Gu and reach a new height. Immortal gods seek names, seek faith, whereas the mountain god seeks nothing. The gaunt man's brows furrowed, and his gaze turned displeased. Profound, mysterious Jinren humphed. "What now? Do you intend to force me?" He did not take the gaunt man seriously at all. Could a Mahayana cultivator pose a threat to him? The gaunt man stared at profound, mysterious Jinren, gritted his teeth and said, "Although my cultivation level is inferior to yours, I can still curse you. Your disrespect for Tai immortal monarch will surely bring misfortune upon you. Your loved ones will die one by one in this catastrophe, and because of your lack of reverence, you will be harmed by heart demons, and your latter life will be mired in the agony of hell. Sir the Nafire." At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As he spoke, his body began to split open, blood oozing out continuously, rapidly turning into a bloodied figure, with even the bones at his joints revealing a dreadful whiteness. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 618. Gu En and Li Xuandao watching the emaciated man's abnormal state. Profound, mysterious Zenrin's brows furrowed tighter, and he immediately became cautious. Although the emaciated man's cultivation level posed no threat to him, the chill that ran down his spine as he listened to the man's curse was inexplicable. The bloodied, emaciated man's face twisted into a fierce grimace. His eyes filled with bitter resentment as he stared at profound, mysterious Jinren. Quickly, the emaciated man dissolved into a puddle of blood, transforming rapidly into a foul gas, leaving behind only a shallow pit. Profound, mysterious Jinren looked at the pit, his brow tightly knit, his eyes filled with confusion, and his heart stirred with unease. He was full of dread for that Tai immortal monarch, feeling that Tai immortal monarch was even more fearsome than profound star immortal monarch. Profound star immortal monarch, at most, made a fool of all living beings, while Tai immortal monarch would not tolerate any refusal from anyone, even being ruthless to his own followers. Could it be that the mountain god speaks the truth, that the immortal gods have no obligation to be kind to all living beings, and that mortal spirits shouldn't assume their own perspectives when considering the immortal gods? Profound, mysterious Zhenren thought with a furrowed brow. The mere recollection of the emaciated man's face sent shivers down his spine. What right did a Mahayana realm cultivator have to curse him, a celestial and earthly immortal? But the mere thought of that enigmatic Tai immortal monarch prevented him from calming his heart. He could only focus on the medicinal herbs in the garden, hoping to divert his attention. The distant battle continued unabated, lasting several days, with the evil demons of the innate human race finally being expelled, and the Taizong dynasty once again defended its own territory. For tens of thousands of years, without Guen's protection, the Taizong dynasty always turned misfortune into a blessing, its foundation growing ever deeper. Although the Taizong dynasty's tribulations had passed, profound, mysterious Zhenren's torment only increased. Since the curse, his cultivation practice grew increasingly agitated, especially at night, when his mana would run wild, and he began to see many illusions, all depicting the grisly deaths of his kin. He, too, had his own family and relatives. The Li family of the royal house of the Taizong dynasty was also of his lineage. He even envisioned the dreadful scene of Li Zuando's death and the great chaos of the Taizong dynasty, which only heightened his panic. He could only wait for the mountain god's arrival. Throughout the passing years, he had been able to meet the mountain god 2 or 3 times a month, and this was his confidence. He firmly believed that the mountain god was stronger than that so-called Tai immortal monarch. On the 7th day of being cursed, Guan finally arrived. Guan still appeared in the form of a masked figure, for over the years, he frequently guided profound, mysterious Zhenren in his cultivation. Although profound, mysterious Zhenren had guessed that he was the supporting Dao Sword Venerable, he still preferred this form when meeting profound, mysterious Zhenren. Seeing the mountain god leap down from the eaves, profound, mysterious Zhenren stood up excitedly and said directly, "Preeminent mountain god, I have been cursed." Guan replied casually, "Don't worry, let me pick some medicinal herbs first." Hearing this, profound, mysterious Zhenren immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The mountain god could surely see through his condition. Telling him not to worry meant that the mountain god believed the matter was not difficult to resolve. Half an hour later, after profound, mysterious Zhenren finished sewing, he approached Guan. Before he could speak, Guan waved his sleeve, and a fresh breeze swept towards him. After the wind passed, he felt an immense sense of relief, as feeling unburdened washed over him. It was quite marvelous. The oppressive feeling from the past few days disappeared instantly. Profound, mysterious Zhenren immediately knelt down, thanking Guan for saving his life. "There's no need for such formality. You were targeted by others because you've been worshipping me for years. In fact, you could leave. There's no need to stay here. I am not the immortal or god you think I am. Staying here, such troubles could potentially arise again in the future." Guan said lightly, looking down at the kneeling profound, mysterious Zhenren from his diminished stature. Profound, mysterious Zhenren looked up at him and spoke earnestly. "I understand that my perspectives in the past were too narrow. I am willing to worship you forever. You taught me how to cultivate, and I can also help those suffering who pass by. My current life is quite enjoyable to me." He spoke the truth. He felt that without Guan's guidance, he could never have reached the realm he had, let alone lived so many years. Following Guan, he saw the hope for longevity. He no longer hoped that Guan would become the immortal god he wished for, because Guan could grant him the power to fulfill his own ideals. Immortal gods truly had no reason to help mortal spirits, but he could, and the reason was simply that he wanted to help. Guan sprang up, stepping on his head to leap to the roof's edge. His back to him, he said, "Reflect on what being cursed feels like. It might just be an opportunity." Profound, mysterious Zhenren was stunned for a moment, and before he could respond, Guan had vanished into thin air. He didn't ask whether the curse was completely eradicated. He sat down where he was, closed his eyes, and began to recall his feelings over the past few days. Guan had not left the Taizong continent, but instead, He went to the imperial palace of the Taizong dynasty. Li Xiandao was practicing in the imperial study, which had been transformed to have a vast interior space with a spirit pool, enabling him to cultivate while reviewing memorials. Footsteps reached Li Zuando's ears. He opened his eyes to look, his face immediately breaking into a smile as he got to his feet, his dragon robe lifting with splashes of water, which swiftly evaporated. "You're here? Let's have a good drink today?" Li Xiandao said warmly as he looked at Guwen. Ever since Guwen had sent Yang Jian thousands of years ago to support Li Xiandao, the two had built a deeper relationship. Every few decades, Guwen would come to drink with Li Xiandao. He no longer offered tangible assistance, merely chatting with Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao didn't expect much. In fact, being able to see Guwen gave him great confidence. Just thinking of Guwen gave him a fearless vigor. Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Guwen smiled and nodded, and after a while, courtesans brought in wine and dishes, setting them on the long table. They snuck curious glances at Guwen. In their lifetimes, it was the first time they saw His Majesty entertaining someone in the imperial study, and this person was quite young. While they were setting up, Li Xiandao brought up recent developments with Long Tongue. He had invested all his efforts in cultivating Long Tongue, making him a renowned prodigy across the lands and the greatest pride of the supreme mysterious dynasty. He had his own little guess, suspecting that Long Tongue was a descendant of Guwen, due to the Dharma aspect summoned by Long Qing on that day being too similar to Guwen. Even if he were wrong, at least Long Tongue was a grand disciple of Guwen. Although Guwen understood his thoughts, he didn't mind. As long as the outcome was positive and the process enjoyable, he would accept it. Moreover, he quite liked Long Tongue, feeling that this lad was stronger than Long Qing, and his righteousness stood out even more than that of his other disciples. Once the courtesans had left, Guwen spoke. "This world will see the rise of another immortal monarch." Upon hearing this, Li Zuando's smile faded, and he furrowed his brow. Thousands of years ago, he had proactively told Guwen about recruiting the followers of the profound star immortal monarch, and this also showed he trusted Guwen more. The followers of the profound star immortal monarch had given him great support, so he didn't deliberately suppress them. He kept his promise by erecting numerous divine statues of the profound star immortal monarch within the imperial dynasty, but he always had reservations about the immortal monarch. Now, with another immortal monarch arising, he suddenly felt the calamities of the world weren't so straightforward. Could the appearance of the innate human race be more than just a coincidence? Guwen recounted the experiences of profound, mysterious Jinren. Since profound, mysterious Jinren and Li Xiandao were of the same lineage, Li Xiandao had also visited profound, mysterious Jinren many times over the long years. Hearing of profound, mysterious Zenren's curse, Li Zuando's face turned grim. Guwen was telling him these things not because he expected him to do anything, but simply as a friend, sharing the oddities he had encountered recently. Guwen wasn't afraid of Tai immortal monarch finding out. He could change Li Zuando's fate, allowing Li Xiandao to remember these things, while others could not divine that he knew of them through Li Xiandao. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 619. Wuxia saves the world. Immortal gods want to vie for the hearts of all beings in the celestial spirit great world? Li Xiandao asked, frowning. Guwen was pouring himself a drink as he said, "Perhaps, facing the strife among immortal gods, what do you think mortals should do?" After pondering for a moment, Li Xiandao replied, "Go with the flow, as there is a will of heaven in the unseen, as if they never existed." There was a desolate feeling in his heart as he spoke these words. Even though mortals can practice immortal cultivation, the prospect of truly ascending to immortality was so distant. Even Li Xiandao himself, as the emperor of the Taizong dynasty, with all the resources of the world at his disposal, still could not see a hope of ascension. Guwen, where exactly are the immortal gods? What are they thinking? Li Xiandao looked at Guwen and couldn't help but ask. Guwen shook his head and replied, "I'm not an immortal. How would I know where they are or what they're thinking?" Li Xiandao looked at him but felt that he was no less than the immortal gods. Could it be that Gu En chose to seclude himself in this great world because there were secrets unknown to others hidden here? Otherwise, why would two immortal monarchs come here? Gu En heard what was in his heart but didn't deny it. In fact, he too was wondering why the Tai immortal monarch had also come. Was it because of a grudge against the profound star immortal monarch? Or for some other reason? The Tao treasure stolen from Emperor Ziwei by the celestial spirit Immortal Venerable was the world punishment Tao pearl. This treasure followed An Hao in his reincarnation, hidden deep within Tian Hao's soul. Gu En had felt the power of this treasure. It was indeed strong, but not enough to drive the immortal gods mad. Gu En was curious, but he did not pay too much attention. For now, it seemed to be just a covert struggle between two immortal monarchs and did not yet represent the celestial court. The fate of the world might change with the intervention of outer forces, but the changes would also appear before his eyes, allowing him to respond in advance. After discussing profound, mysterious Zhenren, Li Xiandao brought up the prodigies of the world, knowing that Gu En was not telling him these things as a warning but just wanted to chat. There was no need to inquire all the way to the end. In the Taizong imperial dynasty he was the sky, but compared to the ethereal immortal gods he was no different from dust. As they chatted, Li Xiandao brought up Tian Hao. Tian Hao was truly too dazzling, which made him think of An Hao. Even though, realistically speaking, Tian Hao's growth rate was more exaggerated than An Hao's, he felt that if An Hao were still around he might not be inferior to Tian Hao. Both of them had Hao in their names, as if it signified some kind of legacy. Even with the innate human race causing chaos in the world, they could not steal the spotlight from Tian Hao because he too was combating the innate human race, maintaining an undefeated record. Tian Hao was shedding the identity of a prodigy. Perhaps, after this calamity, he would be a giant of heaven and earth. Gu En and Li Xiandao enjoyed their drinks and conversation, and gradually, Li Xiandao forgot his worries. Only in Gu En's company did he not need to be overly cautious. He relished this atmosphere. Thunder rumbled and seas of clouds churned. Meteors ablaze with flames fell from the sky, smashing into the earth, which was covered by seas of fire, and the crisscrossing fissures on the ground were so shocking to behold. Suspended in midair were figures enshrouded in blood qi, all hailing from the innate human race, over 100 of them, each one with cultivation level of immortal Tao. They all looked in the same direction, their faces filled with horror and despair. Looking in the direction of their gaze, beneath the thunderclouds stood a figure proudly against the sky. His hair dyed with blood dancing in the air, his physique robust, holding a broad saber in his hand. The light of the blade flowed along the edge, piercing through the clouds, as countless meteors whizzed by him, striking the earth, shaking heaven and earth. It was the blood prison great saint. This was a domain of the innate human race, and the bustling city that had existed here just an hour before had now turned to ash. What exactly is that treasure? An old man stared intently at the heaven-breaking blood prison saber in the hands of the blood prison great saint, clenching his teeth as he asked. His companions around him couldn't answer him, and even those with a realm higher than the carefree primordial immortal couldn't understand. The gaze of the blood prison great saint turned towards the boundless sea of fire below. In one corner, flames surged into a scorching whirlwind, forming a safe zone at the center where tens of thousands of silhouettes stood. All these people were cultivators captured by the innate human race, their eyes filled with joyful surprise as they looked at the blood prison great saint. The blood prison great saint held the heaven-breaking blood prison saber aloft with one hand, a defiant smile on his face, his heart brimming with exhilaration. He had been bottled up for 80,000 years, and now, this kind of slaughter-filled battle was the life he had truly longed for, massacring the innate human race and being revered as the savior by all living beings. How could it not be joyful? Even if you beg for mercy, I shall not spare you. Ia the Novelier, an ET website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The blood prison great saint declared arrogantly, laughing wildly like thunder, resounding through heaven and earth. Tens of millions of miles away, Chun Chuan and Shangtian and Jiangshi stood on a cliff, with green mountains stretching out behind them and a dark, smoke-filled world ahead. Hearing the words of the blood prison great saint, they couldn't help but exchange looks. Why does it feel like this guy is the true apocalyptic evil demon? And Shang Tian muttered, unable to restrain himself. Jiang Shi shook his head with a wry smile. Master made him a mount for a reason. At least it spared the human world one disaster. Chen Chuan didn't laugh. His brows furrowed. Don't you think it's strange how the evil demons of the innate human race seem never-ending? We've been out for 1,000 years, killed so many, but do you feel like their offensive has weakened at all? He disliked slaughter, and 1,000 years of experiences made him detest the innate human race and long to drive them out sooner. Perhaps there's a place connecting to outer heaven, with a constant stream of innate human race evil demons coming in as reinforcements. Jiang Shi speculated, and Shengshen's eyebrows rose. So if we don't resolve that place, this calamity won't end? Chen Chuan narrowed his eyes. That's right. We can no longer run around like headless flies. Our cultivation level might not be strong, but with the 4 Dao treasures combined, we can certainly end this catastrophe and carry on the Wuxia name. A millennium of wandering had spread the name of Wuxia throughout the human world, but Chen Chuan felt it was far from enough. His master had saved the human world many times over, yet people had forgotten him, with voices of faith in immortal gods everywhere now. This dissatisfaction was palpable. He wanted to make all living beings realize who it was that propped up the celestial spirit great world. When Shang Tian heard Chen Chuan's words, his heart stirred, and his face lit up with anticipation. We could go find Celestial Demon Child and the others. Having 3 more Dao treasures would give us even more assurance, Jiang Shi suggested. Chen Chuan nodded, his eyes gleaming. Wuxia disciples, wielding the 7 great Dao treasures to save the world. That story would be even more spectacular. The 3 exchanged a glance, leaped forward to aid the blood prison great saint, and prepared to quickly end the final battle. Meanwhile, under the world gate, the celestial spirit god was watching them. Ever since Chen Chuan and the others had appeared, the might of the Dao treasures had caught the attention of the celestial spirit god. Tian Hao had 3 Dao treasures, and at that time, he was amazed at Gu An's capability to craft magical treasures. Now seeing that each of the Wuxia disciples held one, he was curious just how high Gu An's realm might be. Profound Star Immortal Monarch, Tai Immortal Monarch, and him, in this chess game, Golden Extreme God, you no longer have any hope for life, pitiful that you don't even know it. The celestial spirit god thought to himself silently. He then stood up and faced the world gate, seemingly preparing to welcome the arrival of some entity. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 620, The 72 Immortals of Golden Cave. The celestial spirit god stood quietly in front of the world gate, his gaze calm, his thoughts unknown. Time sped by rapidly. After a long while, the world gate burst forth with strong light, dazzlingly brilliant, as 72 silhouettes stepped out, men and women both, dressed uniquely, yet all exuding an extraordinary aura, displaying the immortal light. The celestial spirit god's face changed slightly, clearly not expecting the identities of the newcomers. Leading the way was a man in a purple robe, wearing a divine crown with delicately embroidered patterns and luxurious crystals adorning his robe, and 2 dragon horns on the crown reaching to the sky as tendrils of blue flame swirled around him while he walked. The celestial spirit god immediately greeted them with a fist and palm salute. The man in the purple robe didn't respond to the celestial spirit god, walking straight past him, with the others following closely behind. Celestial spirit god, you've been guarding this place for so many years. It's time to bow down to Emperor Ziwei. A young man, clad in golden chain armor, holding a long spear, joked with the celestial spirit god. He walked amongst the crowd, and looking at him alone, his presence was no weaker than the celestial spirit god's. The celestial spirit god didn't make a sound, and the golden-armored youth, unangered, continued forward. Watching them fly toward the depths of the universe, the celestial spirit god reflected, Tai Immortal Monarch has actually sent the 72 immortals of Jin Dong. It seems the Golden Extreme God is destined to die. But does the Golden Extreme God really warrant the collective arrival of the 72 immortals? The celestial spirit god thought of Gu, and could it be that Tai immortal monarch knew of Gu An's existence? He had complicated feelings about Gu An. Having once died at Gu An's hands, there was enmity, but since Gu An hadn't truly wiped him out and also showed immense kindness to his son, it made him unclear about his own feelings toward Gu An regardless. It was none of his business. He just needed to sit here and watch. As the years meandered by, 5,000 years had passed since Gu An helped profound, mysterious Jinren lift the curse. While the whole world was contending with the innate human race, they couldn't completely eradicate them. Gu An had also tried, quietly eliminating a wicked innate human race evil demon, but without receiving any lifespan notification. This innate human race had entangled themselves with a bizarre karma power related to the Golden Extreme God. Perhaps their lifespans had long been controlled by him. Unable to seize lifespans, Gu An grew indifferent to further action, leaving it to the beings of this world to solve on their own. Although he didn't take action, it wasn't a sign of his indifference. His disciples acted at his behest, having saved countless lives over 5,000 years. Wuxi's fame had spread, and sects throughout the world knew of Wuxi's existence. Celestial Demon Child, Chun Chuan, and others hadn't exposed Gu An's name. The world only knew of their origin from Wuxia, oblivious to the master of Wuxia. On this day the weather was clear. Gu An was instructing an Xian in the cultivation of the immortal Emperor's Eye. Ever since she had been stimulated by Tian Hao's celestial Tao destiny to a breakthrough, her comprehension of the immortal Emperor's Eye grew deeper. Although far from Gu An's level of achievement, she could now wield the power of the immortal Emperor's Eye. Her immortal Emperor's Eye divine power wasn't karma divine power, but a kind of devouring strength that could consume everything, turning it into her own power in a short time. This was a very practical divine skill for combat. The power gained from devouring was temporary, but in evenly matched battles, this could instantly turn the tide. She had only just begun to comprehend. If she were strong enough to devour a part of the great Tao and make it fight on her behalf, the mere thought of such a scene was terrifying. Years had passed, and though Enzin's comprehension was awakening, her combat talent was not exceptionally high. Now, with the immortal Emperor's Eye, she finally had the qualifications to compete with Tian Hao. However, the immortal Emperor's Eye was not related to the cause and effect of the celestial court, and it was not advisable to use it casually after leaving the dojo. Gu An looked at an Xian, smiling as he thought. Unconsciously, an Xian had become the person who had been his companion for the longest time. He was very fond of this obedient and filial disciple, and his favoritism was overt. He wasn't afraid of the envy from other disciples because he felt hard-working and Xian deserved such treatment. The mentor and disciple duo sat in the bamboo grove, an Xian with her eyes closed. On her eyelids, a pair of purple phantom eyes emerged, mysterious and eerie. Bamboo leaves fluttered down, one landing on Enzin's head. Suddenly, an Xian opened her eyes and looked at Gu An, saying, "Master, I have an ominous premonition. The more I comprehend this divine power, the stronger this feeling grows, as if some terrifying existence is approaching." Gu An replied, "Trust your feelings, it is indeed so. In fact, the divine power you're cultivating is no longer the Calamity Absolute Eye, but a powerful divine power called the Immortal Emperor's Eye, which can even invoke the fear of the immortal gods." An Xian felt this way because the number of immortal gods in the celestial spirit great world was increasing. Over 3,000 years ago, 72 immortal gods on par with the celestial spirit god came through the world gate, one of whom reached the Taiqing Golden Immortal Realm perfection. Gu An had calculated that they were intricately linked with Tai Immortal Monarch, implying these immortal gods were very likely summoned by Tai Immortal Monarch. They infiltrated the celestial spirit great world undetected, hiding their identity and presence, wandering amidst the human world. Initially, Gu An assumed they intended to emulate the Golden Extreme God and further propagate the name of Tai Immortal Monarch, but that was not the case. They seemed to be searching for something. Protected by the celestial Tao destiny, Gu An could not hear their innermost thoughts. Now Guan suddenly had a guess. Could it be they were searching for the immortal emperor's eye? Once the immortal emperor's eye was perfected, it would alarm the celestial court. Yet an Exian had not used the immortal emperor's eye's power outside. So Guan still had faith in the dojo. His thoughts then shifted to another person. Tian Hao, an innate immortal god. Such a being could not go unnoticed by the immortal gods. Speaking of which, Tian Hao was renowned throughout the land. Yet Golden Extreme God had never sought him out. It might have been coincidental in the past, but the fact that they never met to this day was surely not reasonable. Could it be that Tai Immortal Monarch and Profound Residence Immortal Monarch bore no grudges, and instead, something in this great world necessitated their competition? Fear of the immortal gods. Can I still use it in the future? Will it bring trouble to you, Master? An Exian asked nervously. Guan laughed and said, "That's why you must continue to cultivate, develop it to the realm of great achievement, being able to control the immortal emperor's eye with ease, so that when you go out in the future, you won't reveal its aura." An Exian pondered and, looking up at Guan, asked, "Master, could the current chaos in the world have been caused by the innate human race because of me?" Guan said exasperatedly, "Do you think you're capable of that?" An Exian stuck out her tongue, chastened, her ears turning red, but she breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. It was good that it wasn't her. Although she did not have grand aspirations to save all living beings, she also did not want to bring about a world-ending calamity because of herself. However, there are currently dozens of immortal gods in the human world. Looking across the 3,000 great worlds, the place with the most immortal gods at the moment is our celestial spirit great world. Guan's words piqued Nzin's interest, and she began inquiring about the whereabouts of the immortal gods. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Envgo. Co. Chapter 621. Purple Dragon Star Monarch. Greater Karmic Ties. Guan shared his understanding of the Golden Extreme God and the 72 Immortals of Golden Cave, including the Profound Star Immortal Monarch and Tai Immortal Monarch. When an Exian first began to cultivate the Immortal Emperor's eye, Guan felt she had truly grown up and should be introduced to the higher realms to broaden her horizons. An Exian was indeed shocked. Although tales of the immortal gods always circulated in the human world, she had not imagined so many immortal gods were wandering among humans. After listening to Guan's explanation, an Exian fell silent for a moment before looking up and asking, "Master, is Tian Hao the reincarnation of my senior brother?" Guan did not evade the question, he simply nodded. An Exian pressed on, "Did you let senior brother become an immortal god because his destiny pattern originally belonged to immortal gods? In his previous life, and Hao's talent was equally extraordinary, hardly that of a mortal being." Guan reflected aloud. "All one can say is, due to a mix of fate and chance, this was also the choice of the celestial spirit immortal venerable's will." He recounted the past of the celestial spirit immortal venerable, celestial spirit god, and an Hao, which made Nzin's eyes sparkle with a strange light. So the final great battle at the end of era had so many grudges and grievances. Her senior brother truly was the child of heaven and earth, adored by the universe. An Exian continued to inquire, "Master, if the Profound Star Immortal Monarch and Tai Immortal Monarch were to descend and either enslave all living beings or attempt to capture senior brother, what would you do?" Guan looked at her and asked with a smile, "What do you hope your master would do?" An Exian blinked and said, "Logically, I hope master would not get entangled in karma again, but deep down, I'm eager to see how master would fare in a contest with immortal gods." The descent of so many immortal gods excited an Exian. Her excitement wasn't about seeing immortal gods, but about her master's power. Despite the potential threats presented by so many immortal gods, Master still faced the world with a smile. Just how profound was his Tao practice? Guan met her gaze and said, "Immortal gods are indeed powerful, and your master would not provoke them without cause. If an immortal god provokes you, would you kill them?" An Exian really wanted to ask this question, but she held back, not for fear of offending, but because she wanted to retain some suspense and anticipation. While Guan and an Exian were discussing immortal gods, the wandering immortal gods in the human world finally met each other. Mountains surrounded a large lake, with dense forests by its edge where the mist rose among the trees. The golden extreme god stood at the lake's shore, frowning deeply while scanning all around him, clutching a long spear in his hand. Golden extreme god, you truly are exhaustive in your efforts. If I were the profound star immortal monarch, I would be moved and support you greatly. Humph, who doesn't know that profound star immortal monarch has a mad dog at his disposal, committing acts that offend the heavens and harm reason. Without the profound star immortal monarch's protection, that mad dog would have been severely punished by the celestial punishment, turned to ashes. I heard that profound star immortal monarch once descended to have a secret meeting with a mortal woman. Fearing violation of the celestial rules, he let the golden extreme god extinguish his mortal offspring. A celestial god who chooses not to guard their domain, but instead meddles in dirty affairs is truly laughable. Indeed, those who don't know might think he hasn't ascended to immortality. Why does the propagation of the great Tao require the personal intervention of a celestial god? Each voice came from different directions, laden with mockery. Looking closely, there were figures moving through the forest, and even on the surface of the lake, figures appeared as if hiding and emerging. Golden extreme god didn't show anger. His expression was extremely ugly as he gritted his teeth and spat out 6 words, 72 immortals of Golden Cave. A look of despair flashed in his eyes. He could tell that the incoming party harbored ill intentions. If it were merely a provocation, why would the 72 immortals need to personally surround him? As he kept silent, the 72 immortals of Golden Cave emerged from the thick fog, all of their gazes falling upon him, making him feel as if he were being pricked by thorns, deeply uneasy. Golden extreme god tried to remain calm and turned his gaze towards the man in the purple robe with the most imposing aura, lifted his hand in salute, and asked, "Purple Dragon Star Monarch, what matter requires mobilizing all 72 immortals of Golden Cave?" Purple Dragon Star Monarch was the leader of the 72 immortals of Golden Cave. Unlike the others, he hadn't mocked Golden Extreme God. The indifference on his face conveyed a sort of disdain that overlooked all. In response to Golden Extreme God's inquiry, Purple Dragon Star Monarch didn't answer. He took steps forward until, stopping, they were less than 3 paces apart. Golden Extreme God was burly, yet Purple Dragon Star Monarch stood a head taller than him, so that in front of Purple Dragon Star Monarch, his imposing aura suddenly weakened. Purple Dragon Star Monarch slightly raised his chin, his gaze looking down at Golden Extreme God, who didn't dare to meet his eyes. "Do you really think Profound Star Immortal Monarch sent you here to preach the Tao? You are, after all, a celestial god," Purple Dragon Star Monarch asked. Golden Extreme God's eyes flickered as he replied, "I serve the immortal monarch, and I dare not ask too much. My only task received was to preach the Tao." Purple Dragon Star Monarch's expression remained cold as he continued, "What the celestial spirit Immortal Venerable stole from the Ziwei Immortal Palace all those years ago wasn't just the world punishment Tao Pearl." Golden Extreme God looked up at him, his eyebrows knitting together as if he truly didn't know about this. "Do you think Celestial Spirit Immortal Venerable managed to steal the world punishment Tao Pearl right before Emperor Ziwei's eyes for nothing? That pearl also harbored an even greater karma, and that was the true intention of Profound Star Immortal Monarch. Both immortal monarchs have sensed the destiny pattern of that existence being born." Purple Dragon Star Monarch spoke softly, his eyes turning sharp as he continued, "Currently, only the 2 immortal monarchs are aware of this matter, but it might not remain so in the future. Therefore, the less who know about this, the better." Golden Extreme God's face changed dramatically. He instinctively tried to step back, but a ray of golden light enveloped him, preventing any movement. With great difficulty, he looked up to see a golden umbrella unfolded above his head. The other immortals of Golden Cave continued approaching, while the gaze of the Purple Dragon Star Monarch in front of him became increasingly dangerous. "Are you planning to slay a god?" Golden Extreme God looked back at Purple Dragon Star Monarch, his voice edged with resolve. Expressionless, Purple Dragon Star Monarch replied, Under the brilliance of heavenly Tao, how could we disobey the celestial rules? But we do need you to sleep for a period. As his words fell, he struck Golden Extreme God's chest with a palm, immediately destroying Golden Extreme God's physical body and turning him into specks of golden light. Then he withdrew his hand, and the myriad golden specks shrunk into his palm, coalescing into a golden pearl. He tossed it aside nonchalantly, and a three-headed golden cave immortal caught the golden pearl, immediately popping it into his mouth, beginning to chew and then swallow it down. The immortals of Golden Cave observed this scene with mocking smiles. A female immortal looked at Purple Dragon Star Monarch and said, "Elder brother, we've waited so many years, yet we still haven't found him. In my opinion, why don't we crush this great world? If he's truly here, he would reveal himself." Her words garnered support from many of the other Golden Cave immortals. No, this is, after all, the Great Thousand World. Even though destroying the Great Thousand World would not result in too severe a punishment for us, such an act would inevitably draw more attention. A great world that could gather and be destroyed by us. If you were in that position, wouldn't you have second thoughts? An elder immortal spoke up, his gaze fixed on Purple Dragon Star Monarch. Purple Dragon Star Monarch looked towards the celestial vault in the distance. The karma of this great world has been altered, but fortunately, legends still remain in the human world. Next, let's search for the supporting Tao Sword Venerable. The being granted entry by the supporting Tao Sword Venerable has been born into this world, and perhaps pursues the same goal as us. He likely hasn't left. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Envgo. Co. Chapter 622. The name of Wuxia when the 72 immortals of Jindong wanted to find Guwen. As soon as the thought arose, Guwen sensed it. He didn't care. He had already erased his causality in the world, even from his disciples and acquaintances. Of course, if the 72 immortals of Jindong came to the Chenkuan sect, perhaps they could find him. But even if they found him, they wouldn't be in for a treat. Guwen observed an Exian restarting her immortal cultivation, his thoughts falling on Tian Hao. It now seemed that the celestial spirit immortal venerable had stolen not only the world punishment Tao Pearl from the Ziwei immortal palace, but also an Hao, or rather, it was mainly about an Hao. The celestial spirit god had long delayed destroying the celestial spirit great world, and the celestial court had not urged it. Perhaps deeper forces were preventing the celestial spirit, involving even Emperor Ziwei. Stronger forces were restraining the celestial court from destroying the celestial spirit great world, an event that did not leave Guwen feeling fortunate. Without these causalities, Guwen would not have come into contact with the celestial court so prematurely. Of course, these were just hypotheses. He had already established a connection with an Hao and the celestial spirit great world. He wouldn't avoid them unless he was truly no match. With the arrival of the 72 immortals of Jindong, the destiny of the celestial spirit great world changed once more. Guwen calculated that the profound star immortal monarch and Tai immortal monarch would descend into this great world. After their arrival, the great thousand world would meet its end. Due to the celestial Tao destiny, the future had many vague areas, but he could see the general trend and duration. Celestial gods, star monarchs, immortal monarchs. Guwen pondered the hierarchies within the celestial court, wondering what realm he needed to reach to not fear the court's threats. He began to feel the celestial Tao destiny. With the descent of the 72 immortals of Jindong, the celestial Tao destiny in the universe surpassed that of the past. The celestial Tao light layer enveloping the great world condensed infinite golden light, illuminating the universe, dazzling and bright. Guwen had always been curious about celestial Tao destiny. At this moment, he realized that celestial Tao destiny was harder to comprehend than the great Tao, primarily because the great Tao had no will, whereas the celestial Tao seemed to harbor some will, possessing a strong exclusivity. After the golden extreme god was devoured by the golden cave immortal, the innate human race did not disappear. They continued to plague the human world, and they could not be completely eradicated. Although it was impossible to eradicate the innate human race in a short period of time, those who opposed them continued to build their renown. More and more prodigies rose. To the mortal spirits, this was the worst era, but for the sects of immortal cultivation it was the best. They began using the innate human race to train their disciples. Time swiftly passed and 1,000 years went by. In the extreme northern lands of the world, snow filled the skies, and mountains and rivers were covered in snow. Lv Blood Prison Great Saint, Chun Chuan Celestial Demon Child, Celestial Cyan Tian Bai, and Sheng Tian, and Jiang Shishing walked along the mountain ridge. The snow falling on them rapidly evaporated, turning into white mist and dispersing. "I didn't expect you to come," the Blood Prison Great Saint said with a smile, looking at Lv walking ahead. Lv snorted. "Nonsense. I am also a part of the beginningless. Naturally, I must unite with you." In these years, he had fought alone, creating a significant reputation. Although not as famous as Tian Hao, he was still among the top prodigies in the world. Hearing that the beginningless were gathering to save the world, he rushed over. Dao treasures could sense each other and even communicate, so coming together was not difficult for them. Hearing Lv words, the others joined in the conversation. "Indeed, we should show the great cultivators across the world the prowess of our beginningless. The Songhai Profound Yin sect even dared to besiege me and the Blood Prison Great Saint. We must teach them a lesson," proclaimed Hao. "Our primary target is to eliminate the calamity of the innate human race. Once this tribulation is over, we'll settle scores with those sections. With the cooperation of the 8 Dao treasures, no one in this world can stop us. The only mystery is what kind of entity the innate human race conceals behind them. Let's hope it doesn't alarm the master." Everyone discussed, brimming with confidence, a confidence imparted by the Dao treasures. After thousands of years of battles, they had grown significantly, each making progress. The least among them had reached the elevation of carefree primordial immortal, while the Blood Prison Great Saint and Celestial Demon Child had even ascended to the divine immortal of wondrous Dharma realm. The Dao treasures contained the intents of different great Daos, always ready to aid them in enlightenment. During battles, the intent was maximum, thus every battle brought them profound insights. As the beginningless disciples moved forward, several figures dashed through the distant snowy fog, disappearing. They headed in the same direction as the beginningless disciples, who paid them no heed. In the subsequent times, many surpassed them, vanishing into the fog ahead while they maintained a steady pace, discussing both their individual feuds and the affairs of the world. After a long time, they walked through swathes of fog and reached the edge of a cliff, standing side by side and looking ahead to a majestic icy lake. Nestled among mountains, the high surface of the lake threatened to flood over the peaks and deliver a cataclysm to the lands behind them. Looking around, the cliffs surrounding the icy lake were crowded with countless figures grouped by forces, with tremendous demons swirling in the clouds above. The scene was truly awe-inspiring. Lv gazed down at the icy lake and asked, "Is this the source of the innate human race? Why haven't any evil demons emerged from it in these days?" Celestial Demon Child responded, "Unclear, but the world is abuzz with this news, and with so many sects rushing here, there must be some basis." Others sent their divine sense toward the icy lake, and quickly sensed a vast aura swirling beneath, blocking all attempts at spying with divine sense. Sensing this unfathomable aura, the beginningless group's expressions turned solemn. Not only them, but the newly arrived cultivators of other sects also changed color at this discovery. A figure descended from the sky, landing behind the group, who turned and smiled in pleasant surprise. It was Tian Hao. Tian Hao laughed and greeted, "Fellow Taoists, brothers, sisters, it has been a while. I knew you would come." They immediately gathered around him, chattering away. In the distance, disciples of the Chenkuan sect watched this scene, exchanging looks of curiosity about Tian Hao's relationship with the beginningless group. The leading Gu Chengdao watched the scene, his expression unchanging, as he led his disciples towards an unclaimed peak. Various sects deliberated what might be hidden beneath the icy lake. Due to Tian Hao, the beginningless group attracted considerable attention, and soon, the news that Tian Hao originated from the beginningless spread, making all sects warier and more curious about the beginningless. The Tao treasure of beginningless was renowned across the world, as up to now, No one had defeated a beginningless Tao treasure, even those whose realms far surpassed the disciples wielding them. The actions of beginningless over the years had been very conspicuous. Now, hearing that Tian Hao came from beginningless inspired awe in all who heard. Could the beginningless possibly be a force even stronger than the Tao court, capable of producing the number one pride of heaven? Suddenly, an immense oppressive force descended, followed by a voice echoing across the icy and snowy lands. I am Elder Fu Chun of the Tao court. I will open the barrier beneath this lake. Only fellow Taoists who have reached the ninth heaven of the immortal path may enter the lake with me. Others must stay outside to guard against any attack from the innate human race. As the voice faded, the sea of clouds above churned violently, forming a massive vortex. The beginningless group looked up to see a giant sword materializing at the center of the vortex. Larger than mountains, a broadsword with a sharp blade and ancient hilt, exuding an air of endless antiquity. As the sword descended, its handle became visible, with an old Taoist standing upon it, his right hand on his chest, casting a spell. That's one of the 4 divine swords of the Tao court, the sky-breaking sword, someone exclaimed, revealing the origin of the sword. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Envgo. Co. Chapter 623. The strategy of Golden Cave. Gazing at the imposing sky-breaking sword, the cultivators from various sects were shocked, while the people from Taoist field of the beginningless compared this sword with their Tao treasures. They found that although the sword was stronger, it did not possess the great Tao intent like the Tao treasures. The reason their Tao treasures were not as strong as the sky-breaking sword was still because their Tao practice was not sufficient. If they had the cultivation level of the Tao court Elder Fu Chun, the Tao treasures in their hands would definitely be more terrifying than the sky-breaking sword. They looked at the sky-breaking sword and began to fantasize about how powerful their Tao treasures would be at their strongest stage. Tian Hao also summoned his 3 Tao treasures: Divine Punishment, Celestial Punishment, Immortal Punishment, 3 Tao spears hovering around him, exhibiting their respective glories. The blood prison great saint glanced at him, his eyes filled with envy. It was said that these 3 Tao treasures could also condense formations, and their offensive power was considered the strongest among Tao treasures. The blood prison great saint could only envy silently. He knew he was no match for Tian Hao, but he believed he would surpass Tian Hao one day. Tian Hao was already standing on his own, and given this situation, it was unlikely that he would return to the Taoist field of the beginningless often. Even though his relationship with Gu En would not end, it would inevitably become distant. The blood prison great saint had seen such situations several times, and Hao, Yang Jian, Long Qing, all considered themselves extraordinary. But after leaving Gu En, they either died or vanished into the mortal world. As he had stayed by Gu En's side all along, he had now become divine immortal of wondrous Dharma and wielded a Tao treasure exclusive to himself. He had inquired and found out that those who reached the stage of divine immortal of wondrous Dharma within 1,000,000 years were considered to have exceptional talent and immense destiny, and he had reached this realm in less than 100,000 years. If there had been no Tian Hao in the world, he would have been at the pinnacle of the cultivation speed. Thinking of this, the blood prison great saint smiled, no longer envying Tian Hao, and even started to look forward to the future. Will Tian Hao regret his current choice billions of years later? And by then, he would surely regard immortal gods as mere trifles. The more the blood prison great saint thought about it, the more excited he became, even forgetting to pay attention to the ice lake. The sky-breaking sword continued to descend, and the surface of the ice lake surged with flame-like icy vapors, as if a giant hand wanted to block the sky-breaking sword. Standing on the hilt of the sky-breaking sword, Tao Court Elder Fu Chun's eyes turned cold, and an immense and boundless aura erupted from within him, making the sky-breaking sword flash with sword light. Boom! The sky-breaking sword trembled, then plunged violently downwards, hitting the surface of the ice lake, and the terrifying aftermath forced the cultivators from various sects to retreat en masse, immediately gathering their mana to resist. The weakest of the cultivators who were able to come here were of the realm of celestial and earthly immortals, possessing the ability to fly to outer heaven. But at this moment, facing the power of the sky-breaking sword, they all felt as feeble as insects. After pausing for a moment, the sky-breaking sword abruptly pierced through the ice lake. The celestial demon child only felt the world before her eyes suddenly shatter. She blinked subconsciously, and when she reopened her eyes, the sky-breaking sword was already gone. She saw innumerable Dao court cultivators descending from the sky like a flurry of carp and diving into the ice lake. Looking down, she saw that the surface of the ice lake had shattered, revealing a vast black hole, flickering with blood-colored lightning, resembling the entrance to hell, a sight that struck terror into the heart at mere glance. The voice of the blood prison great saint came from beside her. We should also go down. Staying behind to guard is not a task for us from the beginningless. As soon as he finished speaking, he took the lead and rushed downwards, with LV Xian, Chan Chuan, and Shangtian following closely behind. The celestial demon child came to her senses and, along with the others, flew downwards. Tian Hao watched from a distance towards Chenkuan's sect. Gu Chengdao gave him a nod, and he immediately followed the beginningless crowd into the black hole of the ice lake. After crossing a dark area, the celestial demon child felt the world spinning as she descended from the sky, arriving in a dim world. The ground was scorched red, not a blade of grass in sight, and white bones dotted the landscape like snowflakes. Giant mountains in the distance spewed hot magma. The sky was covered in rolling black clouds, oppressively looming, and the black hole above the celestial demon child's head seemed terrifyingly vast, as if a great hole had been torn in the celestial vault. We should stick together in this place. Something is not right here. Jiang Shi spoke, and the others had no objections, quickly gathering together. Out in the world for thousands of years, Jiang Shi's strength was not the top among them, but his steadiness and meticulousness made him the backbone in their actions. Chun Chuan looked towards the distance, observing the Dao court cultivators flying like a dragon towards the faraway lands, and his sword-like brows furrowed. For some reason, upon entering this realm, he felt an indescribable horror, unable to control his emotions. Tian Bai cautiously asked, "Do you all feel like we're being watched?" And Shang Tian surveyed the surroundings and responded, "Indeed, everyone be careful. We can't afford to be complacent just because we have Dao treasures. I'll lead the way, follow me." Blood Prison Great Saint spoke up and then flew off in one direction, not following the main Dao court force. The others followed closely, each tightly holding their own Dao treasures. Before long, as they were still flying, a sudden, overwhelming and terrifying aura burst forth from afar, startling them into an immediate halt. "Foolish mortal spirits, you dare to burrow into hell itself, truly seeking death," a cold voice echoed through the heavens and earth. Following that, a blood light swept across the celestial vault, stirring the boundless sea of clouds. Instantly, the Dao treasures in the hands of the beginningless group lit up protective shields, blocking this surge of impact. Despite that, they all still felt the shock. Jiang Shi, Celestial Cyan, and Tian Bai had blood trickling from the corners of their mouths, faces filled with terror. LV Xian quickly raised his hand, and the 12 extreme heaven-calming world bead flew above everyone, rapidly expanding, emitting strong light, creating layers of Dao light with each layer being a different color, layer upon layer forming a gigantic tower's phantom image, where each layer of Dao light reflected the heavens and earth if looked at closely. Celestial Cyan lifted the Cyan Hong Linglong Tower. Tian Bai held the White Spirit Exquisite Tower in one hand and cast spells on it with the other. From within the twin towers emerged two mystical birds, one cyan and one white, intertwining as they rose high, spreading their wings over the phantom tower, creating a second layer of defense. Before they could even discuss their situation, a deafening roar came from the distance, with the oppressive might of battle sweeping over them, drastically changing their expressions. "What kind of realm is this?" And Shengtian exclaimed. He thought of the oppressive force that the mysterious outer heaven evil demons brought to all beings at the end of the last era. Equally impenetrable, equally invincible. Just as LV Xian was about to speak, a violent wind came sweeping from afar, a blinding light submerging everything between heaven and earth, causing all things to lose their color. Meanwhile, Alongside a great river, the 72 immortals of Golden Cave were advancing. Purple Dragon Star Monarch led at the forefront, looking at his right hand where a blood pearl floated in his palm, displaying a great battle within it, including the figure of Tian Hao. Tens of thousands of Dao Court great cultivators were surrounding a world-level evil demon of the innate human race. The vast majority could only maintain the formation, unable to join the battle. Tian Hao's figure was reflected in Purple Dragon Star Monarch's eyes. The golden armored youth floated next to him, curiously observing the blood pearl in his hand. This Tian Hao has an ordinary destiny pattern, but considering his age, his cultivation level is quite impressive, the golden armored youth remarked, clicking his tongue in amazement. As an immortal god, just one glance at Tian Hao was enough for him to know Tian Hao's background. Purple Dragon Star Monarch, emotionless, said, "With such talent, his destiny pattern cannot be ordinary. Maybe someone has concealed his destiny pattern. Oh, could he be the one we're looking for? Could it have been the work of celestial spirit Immortal Venerable?" The golden armored youth pressed on. Purple Dragon Star Monarch replied, "Well, no, soon enough." He lifted his left hand, fire igniting at his fingertips, quickly forming Golden Extreme God's soul body. Golden Extreme God looked up at him, eyes full of fear. Without saying much, Purple Dragon Star Monarch tossed his soul body into the blood pearl. The golden armored youth laughed playfully. No need for Golden Extreme God to act. That world conceals a heaven-encompassing free immortal, enough to force out the person behind the scenes. Purple Dragon Star Monarch spoke softly. "I'm not trying to force out Celestial Spirit Immortal Venerable or supporting Dao Sword Venerable, but Profound Star Immortal Monarch." The golden armored youth was momentarily stunned, then his face broke into an excited smile. He turned to the immortals of Golden Cave behind him and exclaimed, "Hey, we're going to battle Profound Star Immortal Monarch." The Golden Cave immortals had various expressions. Some were as excited as the golden armored youth, while others frowned with worry on their faces. However, no one voiced objections. They just directed their gazes towards Purple Dragon Star Monarch. Source: Web Novel. Com. Updated on Envgo. Co. Chapter 624. World-subduing floating mountain aspect. Heaven and earth were in a tumultuous state, with fierce winds and swirling sand mingled with shattered bones rampaging across the landscape, as if nature itself was in a furious rage, punishing those who dared to offend it. Tens of thousands of great cultivators from various Dao courts were arrayed in a formation, spanning over tens of thousands of miles. Their immense mana converged into a giant azure formation, its light piercing the sky. Within the light, silhouettes of azure fish could be seen fleeting across, and within the formation, azure winds formed streams converging upon 7 great cultivators. These 7 great cultivators were all profound yuan-free immortals, with cultivation levels that reached the heavens and penetrated the earth. Their mana made it difficult for the tens of thousands of great cultivators maintaining the formation, almost all of whom were trembling. The 7 profound yuan-free immortals were jointly attacking a colossal figure that was 100 zhang tall. No matter how they attacked, they could not shake this colossal figure. This figure, with its upper body bare, resembled most of the evil demons of the innate human race. It had disheveled hair and held a dark long saber in its hand. Its body was surrounded by a bloody aura, which blocked all spells and divine skills from all directions. Despite the divine skills employed by the Dao Court's profound yuan-free immortals, they simply couldn't penetrate the bloody aura surrounding him. He had his eyes closed, seemingly still in slumber, unaffected by the attacks around him. Meanwhile, more cultivators were continuously arriving from distant places, joining the encirclement. Those from the Taoist field of the beginningless had also arrived. And Shangtian widened his eyes and swallowed nervously, asking, "What realm is that guy in?" Every cultivator aligned in the Dao Court's formation seemed profoundly inscrutable to him, not to mention those 7 great cultivators within the formation. So many powerful beings gathered yet unable to shake an evil demon of the innate human race? Perhaps resolving him could end the calamities brought by the innate human race. Elvicien mused solemnly. The stronger the opponent, the more excited he became. If the Dao Court could resolve the innate human race, how would they have a chance to showcase their prowess? Suddenly, a tremendous presence emanated from behind those of the Taoist field of the beginningless, startling them and causing them to turn their heads. Not just them, but the other cultivators who were fighting also turned to look, only to see a rainbow light speeding towards them like a rushing sun. In a flash, the rainbow light soared over the heads of those from the Taoist field of the beginningless and directly entered the formation, which offered no resistance to it. The rainbow light halted, its brilliance dissipated, and a Taoist in white robes appeared. He had the youthful appearance of an elder and held a horsetail whisk. His long eyebrows and beard emphasized his transcendent aura. He looked at the 100-zhang-tall figure and said, "Elder Zhu, long time no see." Indeed, he was the master of the Tao court, Yuan Songzi. Seeing Yuan Songzi appear, the great cultivators on the side of the Tao court all breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. The Tao court, as an alliance-like sect, had managed to gather various sects together and establish a new sect. The leader of such an influential lineage surely possessed extraordinary capabilities. The great cultivators present were all high-ranking members of the Tao court and had witnessed Yuan Songzi's capabilities to some extent. In their hearts, Yuan Songzi was the strongest being. As long as he was present, all difficulties would be resolved. The 100-zhang-tall figure then opened his eyes. He looked at Yuan Songzi, his fierce face showing no change in expression, and said, "You're called Yuan Songzi, right? It indeed hasn't been easy for you to come to this great thousand world and to possess such immense fortunes of heaven and earth." Yuan Songzi smiled and replied, "It has indeed been eons, and the world has transformed tremendously since we last parted. Being able to meet in this great world is also destiny. But I wonder, Elder, how did you come to find yourself in such a state?" Hearing Yuan Songzi knew the evil demon of the innate human race, the cultivators of the Tao court looked at each other in bewilderment. They did not take the matter lightly and continued maintaining the formation. Those from the Taoist field of the beginningless were also curious. Led by Jiang Shi, they flew towards the back of the 100-zhang-tall figure. Offending beings one should not provoke leads to such consequences, yet you still have a slim chance of survival. You should leave quickly. The being referred to as Elder Zhu responded, his tone indifferent but not forceful. Yuan Songzi said helplessly, "I am already the sect leader of a sect, bearing the lives of all living beings in the world. How can I flee? From what the elder suggests, it seems you two are compelled against your will. In that case, I can only apologize as I must defend." As his voice faded, he raised his left hand and gently swung it, causing a majestic green mountain to rise up behind him, swiftly growing flowers, grass, and trees. These trees quickly took root and sprouted, growing enormously large as if a divine army stood upon the mountain. The green mountain surged into the clouds at an incredible speed, expanding in bulk in less than 2 breaths of time, filling the space within the formation and leaving the cultivators outside staring in astonishment. Even for those from the Tao court, it was the first time most had seen such a mountain. As soon as the mountain appeared, Elder Zhu's oppressive presence was immediately weakened. Is that a divine skill or a magical treasure? Such terrifying suppressive force. Even though separated by the formation, I feel my mana being restrained. The master of the Tao court is said to be the greatest great cultivator of our time, possessing the finest treasures and divine skills of anyone. It seems that the rumors are not unfounded. Indeed, not to mention our master, he truly deserves to be called the best of our era. This must be some kind of power of the great Tao. The inhabitants of the beginningless were amazed by Yuan Songzi's power. Facing the divine skill displayed by Yuan Songzi, Elder Zhu's eyes flashed with admiration and he exclaimed, "I had not expected you to refine the world-subduing floating mountain aspect to such a degree. Giving you this legacy was not a waste. But alas, you have not stepped into the realm of Luotian, and in my presence, you are still but an ant." As his words fell, his expression turned fierce. He suddenly raised his long knife and in a flash of the blade light, boom! The Tao court's grand formation was instantly shattered, a terrifying shockwave flinging everyone, including the 7 profound Yuan free immortals who had previously surrounded Elder Zhu. During their backward flight, half of the great cultivators from the Dao courtside were annihilated. The people from Beginningless, thanks to the protection of their Dao treasure, managed to survive, but were completely disoriented, staring unbelievingly at Elder Zhu. Standing in front of the world-subduing floating mountain aspect, Yuan Songzi furrowed his brows as he raised his hand to block the knife energy, with the giant green mountain behind him trembling as if it were about to shatter. Waves of shock surged within Yuan Songzi's heart. Heaven encompassing, free, immortal. He had not expected Elder Zhu to have reached such a realm. He remembered that when they had first met, Elder Zhu had lamented that he could not surpass the profound Yuan realm in this lifetime. In an instant, many terrifying possibilities flashed through Yuan Songzi's mind considering Elder Zhu's current state. To eradicate all of you, and to cut in half the destiny of the celestial spirit great world. Yuan Songzi, blame only your fate that your cultivation level cannot see through the consequences behind this. Elder Zhu's voice sounded again. Yuan Songzi's expression changed drastically as an unimaginable terrifying power assaulted him, leaving him unable to resist. Boom! Yuan Songzi's robes shattered, resembling a burst of blood flowers, as he fell into the giant green mountain, which immediately broke apart. The blade energy swept across the land, cutting through the world-subduing floating mountain aspect, severing the earth, and reaching to the very edge of the heavens, seemingly poised to split the whole world in two. Although the inhabitants of Beginningless were not directly in the path of the blade energy, they were still blown towards the horizon by the aftershocks, unable to defend themselves. Their Dao treasure could only protect their lives. With this slash, outside the world, in reality, all living beings looked up to see a magnificent blood-red rainbow in the celestial vault, splitting the sky into two. Even Shenzhen at the Taoist field of the Beginningless saw it. Sitting in front of the artifact refining cauldron, Shenzhen turned to glance at Gu and not far away, reclining on a chair reading a book, and asked, "With such commotion, aren't you planning to take action?" She could feel the oppressive force from Elder Zhu, which, despite the great distance, filled her with terror. Such a being was beyond any worldly power to confront. Source: Web Novel. Com. Updated on Envgo. Co. Chapter 625. Mysterious Magic Shadow, Master. Upon hearing Shenzhen's words, Guan did not stand up or look towards her, merely responding casually, "Don't worry. The ones showing off their power are just pawns. This world is not going to be exterminated yet." Pawns? Shenzhen was stunned. She stood up and walked towards Guan. She squatted down in front of Guan in feigned helplessness. "Can I watch this great battle?" In the past, Guan had used his divine skills to let them peer into the battle from beyond the heavens from within the dojo. She was eager to know who was carrying the terrible pressure that enveloped the heavens and the earth, and what kind of being would appear next. Guan waved his hand casually, and Shenzhen turned her head to see blue smoke coalescing on the artifact refining cauldron, showing the scene within that mysterious world. Elder Zhu, holding a long saber, stood like a primeval demon god amidst the mighty clouds of dust, towering into the sky with unparalleled dominance. Shenzhen immediately sent a message to an Xian and ghost mother of ephemera, inviting them to watch the battle. Yuan Songzi, who had reached perfection in the profound Yuan-free immortal realm, was no match for Elder Zhu, who shattered the hope of the Dao court with a single strike. Yuan Songzi, deemed invincible in the world by the hearts of Dao court cultivators, could not withstand even one move from Elder Zhu, and those who survived did not dare to step forward. The heavens and earth were vast, and evil demons of the innate human race started flying into the black hole in the sky, signifying that the external defenses had been breached. "I had intended to slowly grind you down, but you insist on delivering yourselves to death. The calamities brought by the innate human race to this world are not of an apocalyptic nature." The voice of Elder Zhu boomed, deafening and stimulating every cultivator's divine sense. Upon witnessing his power, most people indeed felt regret, thinking they should not have come. The followers of Wuxia burst out of the rolling dust clouds and regrouped, looking towards the gigantic figure in the distance with eyes full of terror. "Blood Prison Great Saint muttered under his breath. "This is tough to chew." The aftermath of just one strike had already left them in such a sorry state. How terrifying might it be to face this evil demon directly? The others also found themselves in a predicament. Parting now would leave them with a sense of unwillingness. If this battle did not end the innate human race, then the human world would be utterly doomed unless their master intervened. LV suddenly frowned, his gaze locking onto a figure in the distance. It was Tian Hao. While everyone else was retreating in fear, Tian Hao was the only one charging towards Elder Zhu. 3 Dao spears glowed with mighty aura, shielding Tian Hao as he quickly approached Elder Zhu. The 100-meter-tall Elder Zhu looked down at Tian Hao, his eyebrows slightly furrowed. The innate human race had been descending upon the celestial spirit great world for thousands of years. Although he had not appeared in the world, he had been paying attention to the human world and was aware of Tian Hao, the contemporary greatest prodigy of the world. With his insight, he had determined that Tian Hao's destiny pattern was extraordinary. Yet he could not fathom it, indicating that a transcendent being was protecting Tian Hao. He did not want to get involved with such a person. Although he was now a prisoner, he was not foolish. With so many worlds in the Great Thousand World, the Golden Extreme God had chosen the celestial spirit great world and made them pawns. Clearly, this world contained a great cause and effect. When he sensed that the strongest person in the celestial spirit great world was merely at the stage of the profound yuan-free immortal realm, his wariness of the celestial spirit great world deepened. Tian Hao looked at Elder Zhu, his eyes devoid of fear. He knew he was no match for the elder, but he had to stand up and show the world through his actions that they had no room to retreat, and they must fight. Many gazes and divine senses fell on Tian Hao, bolstering his courage. He grasped the divine punishment spear, pointing it at Elder Zhu and said, "With your abilities, the innate human race would have swept the world long ago. Who exactly is supporting you from behind? Could it be one of the immortal gods rumored in the world?" A figure appeared beside him out of thin air. It was the master of the Dao court, Yuan Songzi. Yuan Songzi looked all right, just pale. He spoke gravely, "Child, do not act recklessly. This man is named Zhu Guanghan. In another Great Thousand World, he was once the leading prodigy, with talent not inferior to yours. Moreover, 100 billion years ago, he was already at the stage of the profound yuan-free immortal, and now he has reached even higher levels." He knew Tian Hao. Although not a disciple of the Dao court, he admired Tian Hao and did not want him to perish here. Profound yuan-free immortal. 100 billion years ago, Tian Hao's face changed. The cultivators who could enter this realm all had high cultivation levels, and even though they were far away, they could clearly hear Yuan Songzi's words. Everyone's expression dramatically shifted, a chill emerging from their hearts as they struggled to comprehend the kind of being they were facing. Zhu Guanghan, hearing Yuan Songzi's words, did not respond, only looking at them coldly. Tian Hao, despite his recklessness, realized the gap and did not dare to make rash moves. The world fell into an eerie silence. Yuan Songzi sensed something was amiss and frowned. "Who are you waiting for?" More and more evil demons of the innate human race appeared in the distance. They did not attack, merely standing far away, making the atmosphere in the world increasingly oppressive. It wasn't just Yuan Songzi. Other cultivators also sensed something wrong. At that moment, rolling clouds of blood appeared above Zhu Guanghan, moving rapidly, drawing everyone's attention. "What is that?" Celestial sighed and widened her beautiful eyes and asked softly. Even the usually talkative blood prison great saint fell silent at this moment, his gaze fixed on that mass of blood qi. He could sense that a being even more terrifying than Zhu Guanghan was about to descend. And Zhu Guanghan did not even look up. What did that indicate? It indicated that the Comer was an associate of Zhu Guanghan. Zhu Guanghan alone had already made them unable to resist. Why then was there an even stronger presence arriving? What exactly had brought them here? Soon, a golden light pierced through the mist of blood, illuminating heaven and earth, and a figure with an invincible aura descended. It was none other than the Golden Extreme God. The Golden Extreme God, a true God incarnate, looked down upon all with disdain, showing no signs of the embarrassment of being suppressed by the 72 immortals of Jin Dong. Upon his arrival, everyone felt a sense of awe, even feeling an impulse to kneel, including Yuan Songzi. The disparity in realms was simply too vast. Even Tian Hao stared dumbly at the golden extreme god, void of any desire to fight in his eyes. Within the golden light, the gaze of the golden extreme god focused on Tian Hao, seemingly piercing through him. The golden extreme god did not speak. He lifted his right hand, and his index finger pointed toward Tian Hao. Tian Hao, immobilized by the aim, felt an overwhelming sense of suffocation, causing his pupils to constrict. Far below the world gate, the celestial spirit god opened his eyes, and amidst the intense light, his eyebrows slightly furrowed. Su Jin, who was cultivating in the Chenkuan sect, also opened her eyes and clutched her chest, feeling restless. Could it be Hauer? Su Jin furrowed her brows, mumbling to herself. She wanted to get up, but not knowing where to find Tian Hao, she had no choice but to sit back down. Facing the pointed finger of the golden extreme god, Tian Hao could only hear his own heartbeat, intense like never before. For the first time, he felt that he might actually die. This feeling was horrendously awful. Yuan Songzi wanted to intervene, but he found himself unable to move. He could only watch as Tian Hao stood beside him, facing death. Suddenly, several figures appeared before Tian Hao, led by the people of Wuxia, each holding a Dao treasure. They lined up, 8 Dao treasures radiating Dao intent, forming a spectrum of light that shielded the front. Tian Hao inexplicably breathed a sigh of relief. His 3 Dao spears also burst forth with Dao intent, merging with the Dao intent of the other Dao treasures to collectively resist the golden extreme god. The golden extreme god stared at the people of Wuxia, his eyebrows knitting together. He could see that these treasures were not simple, having witnessed LV Xian in combat before. The Dao treasures had made an impression on him, but he had not anticipated that there would be so many of such treasures. Interestingly, his divine sense enveloped heaven and earth, yet he failed to detect the presence of these Dao treasures. Wuxia? Who is backing you up? The golden extreme god asked, managing only to deduce the name Wuxia, which remained mysterious in his predictions. Yet he was not afraid, for he had someone behind him as well, and not just the profound star immortal monarch. Beyond the boundaries, the 72 immortals of Jindong were also observing. The people of Wuxia did not respond. They simply exhausted all their strength to resist the aura of the golden extreme god. Although the Dao treasures were strong, the gap in their cultivation levels compared to the golden extreme god was too vast. Even without the golden extreme god taking them seriously, they struggled to withstand his presence. Tian Hao, watching the backs of the celestial demon child, blood prison great saint, and others, felt profoundly touched. These were the people who had watched him grow up, and in his heart they were like family. Watching his senior brothers and sisters protect him, he also felt a thrill of excitement. As a child, he had fantasized about fighting alongside his brothers and sisters, almost forgetting about his childhood hopes. Seeing that they refused to answer, the golden extreme god snorted coldly and pushed his finger forward, releasing a terrifying aura that seemed to crush the people of Wuxia. Yuan Songzi, being the closest, felt as if his soul was about to scatter. As a fully realized profound Yuan-free immortal, fear was all that remained in him, unable to maintain the usual indifference. However, the sensation of terror came quickly and left just as quickly. He felt as though he had fallen from the sky to the ground unharmed. The sense of survival after a calamity made him gasp for air, and he looked up at the golden extreme god with confused eyes. However, he saw the golden extreme god frowning, his gaze seeming fixed on someone. He unconsciously followed the direction of the golden extreme god's gaze. There, he saw a figure enveloped in dark purple demonic chi standing above Tian Hao. Tian Hao, LV Xian, and others also turned their heads to look. Tian Hao turned around, his face showing astonishment, while LV Xian, celestial demon child, and others breathed a sigh of relief. 80,000 years had passed. The world had long forgotten this shade of demons, And the cultivators in this realm, faced with this shadow of demons, felt only confusion and curiosity, with no one recognizing the origin of this demon shadow. "Master!" Lvcien exclaimed excitedly, turning his head back to face the golden extreme god, his eyes filled with contempt, as if to say, "You're finished, master." Tian Hao widened his eyes, looking closely. The silhouette of the demon shadow indeed resembled his master. He had not expected his master to appear. He had never seen Gu En in action and thought that Gu En, having retreated to the Taoist field of the beginningless, would disregard worldly affairs. The golden extreme god, looking at Gu En's demonic shadow, asked, "Are you the master of Wuxia?" Gu En did not respond. He stepped forward from in front of Tian Hao and Lvcien, celestial demon child, and others made way, their gazes filled with adoration and fervor. Yuan Songzi, looking closely at Gu En, could not see through him. The demonic qi around Gu En was so scorching it made his divine sense ache. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Envgo. Co. Chapter 626. No need to take action. Personally watching Gu En's demonic shadow approach, the golden extreme god furrowed his brows. Although he couldn't see through the demonic shadow, he wasn't afraid. He was a celestial god, blessed by the celestial Tao destiny, and even if he couldn't overcome his opponent, he wouldn't be completely obliterated from existence. The golden extreme god didn't inquire about Gu En's origins, as asking would be meaningless. However, this fellow dared to walk directly towards him, and as a celestial god, he wouldn't just wait to be killed. His right palm lifted, facing Gu En. His expression was cold and indifferent. All cultivators, the innate human race and evil demons fixed their gaze on Gu En's demonic shadow, including Tian Hao and Lvcien. Tian Hao looked the most expectant and excited. Although he had sparred with his master, the gap in the cultivation level was vast, and he had no idea how strong his master truly was. Moreover, he had never seen his master fight a life-and-death battle with an enemy. He had only heard from his senior brothers and sisters about the past, which made him long to see his master's powerful side. A golden red light gathered in the palm of the golden extreme god. Lightning intertwined, resembling billions of demon birds screeching. The lightning illuminated the faces of all living beings between heaven and earth, making their expressions shift between light and dark. The heaven and earth began to tremble. The ground split open as if the world was about to collapse, permeated with a suffocating and dangerous aura. Yuan Songzi, who was nearby, could feel the terrifying power of the golden extreme god. His gaze fixated on Gu En and he made a guess. Could it be the supporting Tao sword venerable? Has he not left? Although Yuan Songzi had never seen the supporting Tao sword venerable manifest a demon body, he had heard of the legend and even felt the supporting Tao sword venerable's formidable aura when battling with the celestial spirit god and the silent destruction god emperor. He could only think it was the supporting Tao sword venerable. The supporting Tao sword venerable hadn't left. As Gu En drew closer to the golden extreme god, more and more cultivators recalled the legend of the supporting Tao sword venerable. The golden extreme god raised his right hand above his head, the clouds above pierced by golden lightning bolts, which then interwove in his palm. Nature's spiritual energy rushed forth, forming violent winds that howled, making the trembling of heaven and earth even more intense. Zhu Guanghan watched Gu En with curiosity filling his heart. He silently stepped back, not interfering with Gu En's confrontation with the golden extreme god. In the eyes of Tian Hao and others, Gu En, who walked towards the thunder, appeared so powerful, his silhouette exuding an unshakable aura. The golden extreme god swung his hand towards Gu and endless golden lightning from all directions of heaven and earth struck at Gu En with a devouring force. Boom, Sir the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The vast golden lightning was instantly dispersed, and the golden extreme god vanished in a flash. The 100-foot-tall Zhu Guanghan widened his eyes in disbelief. He and his kin were enslaved by the golden extreme god, so he knew very well how fearsome the golden extreme god was. Even though he had become a heaven-encompassing free immortal, in front of the golden extreme god, he was no different from a mortal spirit. Such a powerful celestial god was completely no match for this man. He hadn't even seen how Guwen made his move. But he was sure that the golden extreme god hadn't merely dodged and disappeared but was obliterated body and soul. However, a celestial god could resurrect using the celestial Tao destiny, so it was challenging to kill him thoroughly. Therefore, he didn't pay attention to the golden extreme god, but kept his eyes on Guwen, filled with fear. Everything happened too fast. Previously, the golden extreme god seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth, but now, the entire world was returning to calm. No one spoke, and most of the cultivators were dumbstruck, staring at the demonic shadow. Guwen halted his steps, slightly tilting his head as if glancing sideways at Zhu Guanghan, who wore a gloomy expression and did not turn to flee. He had long been a prisoner with nowhere to escape, and he knew he couldn't escape, so he could only wait for his end. Meanwhile, in the courtyard of Taoist Field of the Beginningless, Shenzhen, an Xian, and Ghost Mother of Ephemera were staring at the illusion above the artifact refining cauldron. All three women widened their eyes, then turned their heads to look to the side. Guwen still lay on the chair reading a book, making them look back and forth, confirming that the demonic shadow on the battlefield was identical to Guwen's figure. Is that an avatar? An Xian couldn't help but ask Guwen Gu and turned a page of his book and said, "Yes, dealing with those guys. Why should I personally take action? I'm very busy. Okay? Whether it's immortal gods or the innate human race, none can grant him lifespan. Hence, he naturally couldn't be bothered to act personally." Shenzhen, curious, watched the illusion above the artifact refining cauldron and discovered she couldn't perceive the cause and effect of that demonic shadow. You should know that she could even scrutinize the destiny of celestial spirit gods, but she couldn't see through an avatar of Guwen. How high exactly was Guwen's true cultivation level? Even after coexisting for more than 80,000 years, no one still knew Guwen's true cultivation level. Ghost Mother of Ephemera was also curious about this, feeling very emotional in her heart. Encountering Guwen was truly a tremendous opportunity. She became increasingly grateful to Guwen. What she had done could be replaced by anyone else. On the contrary, Guwen had given her opportunities that no other beings could obtain. On the shattered blood-red ground, whether they were cultivators or the innate human race, all stared blankly at Guwen. The stronger the momentum displayed by the golden extreme god previously, the greater the shock brought to them by Guwen. The innate human race felt even more desperate. In their eyes, the golden extreme god was the most powerful being, a capable and terrifying immortal god who brought them eternal despair. Yet such a being was annihilated in an instant without any ability to resist. They were doomed. The innate human race that arrived in this realm were mostly the pillars of their community, and they were clearly aware of the consequences of this expedition. Many from the innate human race, also evil demons, showed a relieved expression. Compared to tortured life, if like the golden extreme god, they could instantaneously turn to ash and smoke, wasn't that a form of liberation? And painless at that. Zhu Guanghan thought so as well. Thus he harbored no thoughts of resistance and quietly awaited the arrival of death. His gaze continuously fixed on the demonic shadow of Gu and very formidable. "Are you the supporting Tao sword venerable?" A playful laugh rang through the heavens and earth. The voice youthful, reminiscent of a young boy. Figures appeared out of nowhere around Guwen, all shimmering with dazzling immortal light, illuminating the entire dim heaven and earth. Tian Hao, Yuan Songzi, and others were startled awake by the sudden arrival of the 72 immortals of Jindong. Upon seeing the 72 immortals of Jindong for the first time, they instinctively felt the same reverence as they had toward the golden extreme god. They even felt that most of these individuals were stronger than the golden extreme god. Especially that person Tian Hao, Yuan Songzi, and the others from the Beginningless unconsciously locked their gaze on the purple dragon star monarch. The stature of the purple dragon star monarch was notably taller than the other golden cave immortals, his aura overwhelmingly powerful. Looking at the purple dragon star monarch, their imagination of an invincible person materialized in that moment. "Do you know what background he has?" Purple Dragon Star Monarch asked emotionlessly, gazing at Gu and surrounded by demonic chi, his eyes unchanging and indifferent, as if not viewing Guin as a concern. As soon as he finished speaking, the other Golden Cave immortals suddenly erupted with their own aura. The entire heaven and earth shattered in an instant, turning into nothingness. All beings only felt as if everything before their eyes suddenly vanished, and they appeared out of nowhere in the cosmic void, while the immortal light of the 72 immortals of Jin Dong caught their gaze, preventing them from looking away, unable to think of anything else. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 627. Son of Heaven. Gaining experience facing the encirclement of the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave, Guin's demonic shadow remained calm, as if he had long anticipated the arrival of the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave. He did not answer the Purple Dragon Star Monarch. He felt that the Purple Dragon Star Monarch was not qualified to speak to him, and with things having gotten to this point, there was no misunderstanding to discuss. The target of the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave was Tian Hao, and as a master, Guin naturally had to step forward. Moreover, the conflict between the immortal gods could also affect all living beings. Although Guin didn't want to be a diligent savior, if he came across a calamity that absolutely couldn't be resolved by everyone else and he could easily resolve it, he wouldn't deliberately ignore it. Let it be considered the repayment for the many years of lifespan he had taken while secluding himself in this realm. Guin turned around to face the Purple Dragon Star Monarch. The immortal lights of the other 71 Golden Cave immortals converged, forming a formation superior to the mortal world, invoking the Tao rules and discreetly suppressing Guin. The Purple Dragon Star Monarch was a Tai Ching Golden Immortal, while the other Golden Cave immortals were all heaven-balancing Golden Immortals. The formation they formed had already surpassed the limit that a Tai Ching Golden Immortal could withstand. Although it was not powerful enough to suppress a heaven-opening Daluo Immortal, it was sufficient to sweep through all existences beneath the Daluo Dao Fruit Realm. This formation is the Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array. No one except a Daluo Immortal can escape. A Golden Cave Immortal spoke with a proud tone. Why would a Daluo Immortal come to this realm? If their target was the same as theirs, why would they need to stay in the Celestial Spirit Great World? They could have already taken away the person they were trying to find. Cultivators, innate human race evil demons, and others watching from afar all watched the battle nervously, not daring to move. Tian Hao, Yuan Songzi, LV Xian, and Celestial Demon Child and others were curious about what a Daluo Immortal was. The people of Wuxia had indeed heard of this name from the books written by Guin. They quietly thought that indeed, the books the master wrote were not entirely fictional but were mythical stories that had truly happened. Zhu Guanghan looked at the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave, and his expression drastically changed as if he thought of something. He became extremely anxious and very much wanted to flee the place. Once the Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array was deployed, those outside the formation could only feel the grandeur but could not personally experience the oppressing force. However, simply witnessing the immortal light of the Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array made them feel their insignificance, as if they would be reduced to ashes upon mere contact with the immortal light. Guin's demonic shadow remained silent, waiting for either the profound residence Immortal Monarch or Tai Immortal Monarch. From a causal deduction perspective, it was unlikely that either of the two immortal monarchs would intervene, at least not in the short term. Guin looked at the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave, contemplating how to deal with them. To kill them was definitely impossible to accomplish thoroughly. Even if annihilated, they could be resurrected through heavenly Tao. It would be possible to seal them like he dealt with the celestial spirit god, preventing their resurrection and letting them endure the torment. Seeing that Guin refused to speak, the Golden Cave immortals grew furious, and one burly Golden Cave immortal immediately spoke. "Elder brother, destroy him, since the person we are looking for is right before us. Why worry so much? We are immortal gods." As immortal gods, they had absolute confidence. Becoming an immortal signified immortality. They would only fear other immortal gods. Facing someone of higher realm who wasn't an immortal god, they weren't scared at all. The celestial court was their greatest backing. Over the endless years, they had experienced innumerable tribulations and faced every possible scenario. The purple dragon star monarch deeply looked at Guen and nodded slightly. Seeing this, the 71 Golden Cave immortals immediately took action, using their divine skills simultaneously. Their immortal light rapidly expanded, and wind, fire, thunder, and rain suddenly erupted, instantly engulfing Guen's figure. Boom! 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 Inside the Golden Cave absolute immortal array, deafening booming sounds erupted, dazzling lights flashed, creating a blinding spectacle that made it impossible to discern the specific situation inside the array. However, they could truly feel the terrifying aura of the Golden Cave absolute immortal array. Yuan Songzi, Tian Hao, and others instinctively stepped back, an inherent impulse that could not be suppressed by reason, including Zhu Guanghan from the heaven-encompassing free immortal realm. They widened their eyes, reflecting the immortal light of the Golden Cave absolute immortal array in their pupils, which trembled. They could no longer see Guan's figure, but the aura emanating from the Golden Cave absolute immortal array made everything seem fragile. They couldn't imagine what kind of destruction such a terrifying presence would cause if it descended upon the celestial spirit great world. As great cultivators, the spectators felt that such an aura could turn the celestial spirit great world to ash, as they themselves couldn't withstand it at all. If such was the case outside the formation, what would it be like inside? Xia the Nell Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As this thought emerged in everyone's minds, the Golden Cave absolute immortal array suddenly dispersed, revealing Guen's figure, who reached out and grabbed. The 72 immortals of Jin Dong transformed into 72 beams of golden light that flew into his hand, quickly shrinking and disappearing without a trace. Following this, Guen clenched his fist, and 2 beams of purple light appeared on his face shrouded with demonic chi. The surrounding void abruptly changed, and the scarlet world reappeared, making everyone feel as if they were in a different era. By the time they regained their senses, Guen had vanished. The world fell silent, and the sound from the Golden Cave absolute immortal array gradually disappeared. Even LV Xian and Celestial Demon Child were stunned. They had thought there would be a thrilling great battle, but it ended so quickly. Zhu Guanghan hovered in midair, also falling into a daze. He suddenly didn't know what to do. Dao court cultivators turned their gazes to him, equally at a loss, as they were no match for Zhu Guanghan. The sky was vast and the sea of clouds pristine, a rainbow hanging at the horizon. Below the rainbow stood a small pavilion, perched above the clouds, where 2 Taoists were playing a game of Go, though the pieces were not black and white. One of them, a white-haired man with handsome features, had his eyes covered with a silver ribbon and a golden pattern on his forehead. He wore a spotless white Dao robe, with a scroll floating behind him, its light flowing. The painting within depicted a shifting landscape. He was none other than Tai Immortal Monarch. Tai Immortal Monarch's right hand held a game piece between his fingers, not yet placed on the board, seemingly contemplating something. Sitting opposite him was a yellow-robed Taoist with an aged face, his hair a mix of black and white, and authority in his gaze. Golden-red halos floated around him like slender, lengthy scarves, and behind his head hovered a phantom image of 2 mysterious and majestic divine beasts intertwined. The yellow-robed Taoist spoke. "Do you really intend to interfere in the matters of celestial titles? There are many sons of heaven. Why care so much about one who has been exiled? Even sending the 72 immortals of Golden Cave." Tai Immortal Monarch responded, "It's true there are many sons of heaven, and many have been exiled, but he's different. He was once deeply favored, and now he has fallen into reincarnation. In my view, he's not being exiled but is undergoing trials. If it were truly an exile, there'd be no need to conceal the heavenly secrets." The yellow-robed Taoist shook his head and chuckled. Tai Immortal Monarch then placed his piece on the board. Not many sons of heaven can ascend to the palace of the pole star, but he was able to write from birth. I will never forget the scene of thousands of immortals surrounding him. The yellow-robed Taoist teased with a smile. For that, You would contend with Profound Star Immortal Monarch? You should know that Profound Star Immortal Monarch has backing. As long as it does not violate celestial rules, what does a big backing matter? Tai Immortal Monarch retorted. Suddenly, he frowned, the golden pattern on his forehead shining brightly. The yellow-robed Taoist picked up a game piece, smiling as he asked, "What's wrong?" After a moment of silence, Tai Immortal Monarch said, "The 72 immortals of Jindong failed. The one who acted has an unfathomably high cultivation level. They did not test his depth. The only certainty is that he lacks the destiny of the celestial court." The yellow-robed Taoist's interest was piqued, and he smiled. "Those daring to oppose the celestial court are indeed rare. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 628. Guen's terrifying method. Indeed, such existences are rarely seen, but they often bring great trouble. The Tai Immortal Monarch said, his eyes concealed, making it impossible for one to discern his gaze. The yellow-robed Taoist asked, "Were the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave captured? If it were merely a defeat or death, that wouldn't matter much. For immortal gods, the most agonizing fate is to be sealed and unable to perish on their own, forced to endure prolonged suffering and waiting only for rescue by the celestial court. Of course, it would be a difficult process, but the celestial court could always save them. Such is the strength of the immortal gods." The Tai Immortal Monarch replied, "We can't capture their destiny, nor can we perceive the causality that binds them." He wasn't worried either, but he pondered how next to deal with that person. The yellow-robed Taoist asked with a half-smile, "What do you plan to do? Personally intervene? For so many immortal gods to descend upon a great thousand world goes against celestial rules." The Tai Immortal Monarch did not answer. Instead, he picked up a chess piece and gently tapped the edge of the board. The yellow-robed Taoist said no more, not wanting to disturb the Tai Immortal Monarch's contemplation. He cast his gaze toward the chessboard, his eyes flashing with a strange light at the sight of a childlike piece. Inside the Taoist field of the beginningless, Shenzhen, and Xian, and the ghost mother of ephemera saw the illusion of the demonic shadow disappear, and the three women came to from their shock. Was it the immortal emperor's eye that rewrote the heavens and earth? And Xian thought curiously to herself. Before the void reverted to the mundane world, she had seen the divine light of the immortal emperor's eye flash across Guen's face, brief but unmistakable. Shenzhen turned to look at Guen, who still held the Saiyan hero's travelogue in a lounging pose. The more nonchalant he was, the more she admired Guen. After so many years, seeing Guen take action again still left her in awe. At that moment, Guen's demonic shadow appeared out of thin air beside his true self, then dissipated into smoke, leaving behind 72 tiny orbs of golden light floating in the air. Guen sat up, tucked the Saiyan hero's travelogue into his chest, then raised his right hand, and the 72 orbs of light dispersed, revealing small wooden plaques that fell into his palm. These wooden plaques were only 5 or 6 centimeters long and thin as leaves, crafted as if by an artisan, with different figures carved on each, all images of the Golden Cave immortals. Guen grabbed the batch of plaques, then took out a red thread, threaded it through the forehead of each plaque, strung them together, and hung them on his belt. And Xian, Shenzhen, and the ghost mother of ephemera witnessed this. Their eyes widened, and their perception challenged severely. Transforming living beings into such small trinkets was already astonishing, and these plaques originated from beings of great power. Even through the illusion, they could feel the might of the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave, and the terrifying power of the Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array that enveloped the entire celestial spirit great world, inciting fear in all beings within and beyond the heavens. After finishing all this, Guen played with the wooden plaques at his waist, a smile appearing on his face. Shenzhen and the other ladies felt it was preposterous. Guen's methods turned their understanding of immortal cultivation on its head. "Why are you all watching me? Continue with the excitement," Guen said to the three of them, reminding them. Startled, They quickly turned back to see the illusion on top of the artifact refining cauldron, where the Taoist cultivators of the Tao court had once again surrounded Zhu Guanghan. "How did you manage to capture him?" Xinjun asked, surprised, staring at the illusion. Zhu Guanghan had already proven his strength, and all the great cultivators in the world could not withstand him. Guwen did not answer. He twisted his body and walked toward the outside of the courtyard. Before he reached the gate, the voice of Zhu Guanghan came from within the illusion. "I have been defeated," he declared. "I am willing to recall the innate human race and no longer bring calamity to the celestial spirit great world." His words allowed the cultivators of the Tao court to breathe a sigh of relief. Yet there were still some who, indignant, asked, "You have slain so many beings, and just like that, it's over?" Zhu Guanghan remained composed and said, "We rely on a destiny unimaginable to you. Even in death we can be resurrected. To truly kill us, you must extinguish that very destiny." His statement left the inquirer abruptly at a loss for words. Yuan Songzi looked at Zhu Guanghan with a complex expression in his eyes. He took a deep breath and ordered, "Everyone, withdraw. Do not engage with the innate human race any further." Zhu Guanghan turned his gaze to Yuan Songzi and said eerily, "The path of the immortal Tao is far beyond your imagination. If you wish to govern this world, you must be psychologically prepared." As he spoke, he cast a sideways glance at Tian Hao, his stare causing a tremor in Tian Hao's heart. Tian Hao thought back to the earlier battle with the 72 immortals of Jindong and the Golden Extreme God, and for some reason, he felt that these mighty beings had come for him. But he couldn't be sure and feared he might be overestimating himself. LV Xian patted his shoulder, signaling it was time to leave. The Blood Prison Great Saint, however, looked quite disgruntled. This battle had offered him no room to show his prowess. He felt as if he had made a trip for nothing. The other Wuxia disciples, on the other hand, were quite excited, still reminiscing about Gu An's earlier actions. Elsewhere, in the depths of the universe, beneath a world gate, the celestial spirit god looked into the distance, his mood remaining unsettled for a long time. The aura of the Golden Extreme God had startled him. He felt that the Golden Extreme God had surpassed his own power and that in a fight to the death, he would struggle to overcome the Golden Extreme God. Sir the Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Of course, the Golden Extreme God was only slightly stronger than him, and his defeat at the hands of Gu En was within expectations. However, the 72 immortals of Jindong were a different matter entirely. The Purple Dragon Star Monarch was a figure whom he had once looked up to, and the other immortals of Jindong were no ordinary individuals either. These 72 immortals hailed from the same immortal sect, each previously a pinnacle of talent before ascending to immortality. They did not all come from the same era but were the strongest disciples of the immortal sect across different ages. Their Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array was an exceptionally fearsome legend, possessing tremendous deterrent power even within the celestial court. His master had once said that even a Daluo immortal would lose a layer of skin if caught in the Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array. He did not know how powerful a Daluo immortal could be, but it was certainly a realm beyond his imagination. Before Gu En, such a terrifying Golden Cave Absolute Immortal Array seemed fragile, and the 72 immortals of Jindong were defeated in an instant. You did not choose the Profound Star Immortal Monarch nor the Tai Immortal Monarch, and yet for his sake you have gone to such lengths. Who exactly are you? The celestial spirit god muttered to himself. At this point, he also saw the problem. Tian Hao was not merely his son, nor solely a manifestation of the destiny of the celestial spirit great world. There was something deeper about Tian Hao. He began to waver inside. Could it be that the treasure stolen by the celestial spirit immortal venerable back then was not just the world punishment Tao Pearl, but also Tian Hao's previous form? He had often wondered why Emperor Ziwei did not force him to destroy the celestial spirit great world, but now it seemed likely that the successful theft of the treasure by the celestial spirit immortal venerable might have been condoned by Emperor Ziwei. He then recalled the scene within the immortal palace. The expressions of the main deities were so peculiar. The celestial spirit god sighed. He realized he was entangled in a karma beyond his imagination, and it stemmed from within the celestial court itself. Such karma could possibly cause him to lose his celestial Tao immortal position and be reduced to ashes. As an immortal god, one is eternally indestructible. But if stripped of the immortal god status, death would inevitably follow. The celestial spirit god's eyes flickered as he felt the time had come to make a choice. He stood up and walked toward the celestial spirit great world, his silhouette resolute and determined. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 629. The tip of the iceberg of the celestial court. The setting sun dipped westward, and the Chengkuan sect's main city bustled as it always did. Inside an inn, Guwen and the celestial spirit god, who had taken the form of Bai Shang, sat beside a third-floor window, drinking. The third floor was vast, divided into small rooms with windows, and even though every guest room was full, there was no clamor. The celestial spirit god looked at Guwen, recalling the times they had roamed mountains and played by the waters, outwitting bandits, back when Su Jin had not yet transformed. That experience, albeit brief, seemed quite delightful upon reflection. He couldn't fathom Guwen. He had entered reincarnation without any memories. It was understandable to do such things in that state, but why had Guwen accompanied him on those travels? In his eyes, Guwen was very strange. Guwen was the most terrifying being he had ever encountered. He was merely a celestial god in the celestial court, and his understanding of the celestial court was very one-sided. He couldn't make comparisons. Someone as powerful as Guwen, however, enjoyed playing in the human world, and even relished drinking with mortals. The Guwen in battle and the one at leisure were two completely different personas, making it hard for anyone to associate him with both states. Guwen looked at the celestial spirit god and smiled. "It's rare that you seek me out. How is it? Isn't drinking here more interesting than sitting idly beneath the world gate?" The celestial spirit god didn't answer the question. He stared intently at Guwen and said, "You didn't kill me. Aside from fearing the celestial court, you must have intentions of subduing me, right?" Guwen counterqueried, "You are a god of the celestial court. How can you be subdued? That's just my identity. My heart belongs to whoever it chooses, and I will serve them." Since ancient times, within the celestial court, many gods have had their hearts set on the outside world, which is why there are so many immortal sects and orders. The celestial court is indeed mighty and immovable, but the hearts of gods are just as complex as those of humans, and under the celestial rules, there is also a place where right and wrong blur. The celestial spirit god's calm reply left Guwen silent. It seemed that wherever there were interests to be had, there was always room for negotiation. After pondering for a moment, Guwen said, "Tell me about the celestial court first." The celestial spirit god's gaze grew profound. "I am a celestial god, with the qualification to guard the great thousand world, but in the celestial court, I am merely at the bottom. I do not have the right to enter the true celestial court. Ever since my ascent to immortality, I have either stayed with my master, Emperor Ziwei, or remained in the celestial spirit great world. I don't know much more about the celestial court than you do. I can tell you that above celestial gods are star monarchs, whose cultivation level is at least that of a Taiching golden immortal, and above that are the immortal monarchs, a level I cannot reach. Before I betrayed my master, he held such a rank. Whether that is still the case, I'm not sure. Celestial god, star monarch, immortal monarch. It seemed that most immortal monarchs were perhaps in the heaven-opening Daluo immortal realm. Guwen, residing in the Miaozhen Daluo immortal realm perfection, was not afraid. Of course, one must never be careless and should always overestimate the opponent. There are countless celestial gods in the celestial court. I once trained with a celestial army. Did you know? There are hundreds of millions of celestial gods there. When I entered their trial realm, I realized how ordinary my talent was. In the eyes of those high in the celestial court, I was no different than an ant. The celestial spirit god spoke of this with a complex expression. In the great thousand world, he was invincible, but in the celestial court, he felt so insignificant. a gap unimaginable to mortal spirits. Guwen narrowed his eyes and asked, "How many such celestial armies does the celestial court have?" With one celestial army comprising hundreds of millions of innate golden immortals and heaven-balancing golden immortals, the repressive power of the celestial court was indeed frightening. The golden immortals of the 3,000 great worlds combined couldn't match that number, meaning the reach of the celestial court's control far exceeded the scope of Guwen's perception. The celestial spirit god solemnly said, "Many branches, I'm not clear on the number. No one knows just how terrifying the foundation of the celestial court is. Even the immortal gods within it, only the supreme celestial emperor knows." Celestial emperor. Upon hearing this, Guwen didn't want to probe further for fear of provoking taboo. The tip of the iceberg that was the celestial court was already so terrifying that the realm of the celestial emperor was beyond his imagination. Guwen asked, "Since you want to take refuge with me, do you know what you will face next?" The celestial spirit god, seeing that he did not continue to inquire about the celestial court or the celestial emperor, also breathed a sigh of relief. Continuing the conversation could provoke detection by the celestial court. "I know, profound star immortal monarch, Tai immortal monarch. I initially thought the former came for faith, but I was utterly mistaken. They are likely eyeing Tian Hao. The celestial spirit immortal venerable created him surely for some mission, and behind this might also be the calculations of my master, Emperor Ziwei. I'm unclear on what he's scheming or the true origin of Tian Hao, but attracting the attention of two immortal monarchs means that even if you resolve them, there will still be bigger troubles ahead." The celestial spirit god said calmly, mentioning profound star immortal monarch and Tai immortal monarch. There was neither fear nor worry in his demeanor. He believed Guwen could handle these two immortal monarchs. "Given this, you still wish to help me? Is it because of Tian Hao?" Guwen looked at him and asked. The protection of the celestial Tao destiny prevented Guwen from hearing his thoughts, but based on Guwen's understanding of him, he wasn't one to lie. A ripple passed through the eyes of the celestial spirit god as he said, "If I say Tian Hao doesn't matter to me at all, that would be false. But more so it's because I also need a backer. There's no longer any possibility of ascending within the celestial court, and the more chaos that arises in the celestial spirit great world in the future, the greater my sins. I'd like to know now, your care for Tian Hao, is it due to fate? Or like the immortal monarchs, do you have ulterior motives?" He addressed Guwen with respect, indicating a change in his attitude. Guwen asked, "If it's due to fate, do you have a plan?" The celestial spirit god showed a smile. Before coming, he had speculated that if Guwen had ulterior motives, he would have acted long ago. There would have been no need to wait for the immortal monarchs to come. And over these years, he had watched Tian Hao live carefreely. Guwen showed no signs of controlling Tian Hao. The celestial spirit god said, "Actually, resolving this is not difficult. With Tian Hao's talent and destiny pattern, he could be sent to a god stronger than the immortal monarchs, and the immortal monarchs would have no reason to act against the great thousand world. Once Tian Hao leaves, they can only swallow their losses in silence." With that said, he couldn't help but sigh, though it was unclear for whom. Xia the Novel Fire. Net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. "Do you have a god worthy of entrustment?" Guwen hesitantly asked. Located at the bottom of the celestial court, the celestial spirit god seemed to have no escape. Could he still find a way out for Tian Hao? The celestial spirit god shook his head. "I don't know such a transcendental god, but I can recommend Tian Hao to go to the Misty Immortal Court. The Misty Immortal Court has produced many gods and is recognized by the celestial court as an orthodox immortal sect. Stronger entities support the Misty Immortal Court from behind, and with Tian Hao's qualifications, he will certainly be able to enter. The two immortal monarchs would not dare to invade the Misty Immortal Court. Afterward, we only need to withstand their retaliation once. Once they fail, they will be forced to temporarily let go of this karma." Misty Immortal Court. Guwen thought of the memories of the Emperor of Eternal Life, who was born in one of the immortal mansions of the Misty Immortal Court and left at an early age. He went back once, and from his memories, the Misty Immortal Court indeed appeared unfathomable. The Emperor of Eternal Life was his reincarnation body, so in some sense, he could also be considered a disciple of the misty immortal court. Sending his disciple Tian Hao to the misty immortal court seemed like karma repeating itself. But could the misty immortal court truly accept Tian Hao? Would Tian Hao be protected there after his arrival? The celestial spirit god's understanding of the celestial court was not deep, and Gu An's understanding of the misty immortal court was similarly shallow. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 630 The Feelings of the Celestial Spirit God. Seeing Gu An's silence, the celestial spirit god did not disturb him. After all, the method he proposed was not absolutely without problems, and if Guan refused, he would not be in a hurry. Before coming here, he had already considered all kinds of situations. Having decided to serve Guan, he had to take a firm stand, thinking about problems from Guan's perspective. After a while, Guan asked, "How sure are you about getting Tian Hao into the misty immortal court?" The celestial spirit god replied, "I have a close friend who comes from the misty immortal court. Although his status is not very high, helping Tian Hao to join the court is certainly not a difficult task. The rest will depend on Tian Hao's destiny, and we can only do so much. Individual fate still depends on one's own efforts." Guan thought for a moment and said, "Then let him choose." The celestial spirit god raised his eyebrow, asking, "You want to tell him all this? He is now grown up, qualified to choose his own fate. If he is manipulated by you and me, how are we any different from the immortal monarchs?" Gu An's reply gave the celestial spirit god a deeper understanding of him. It seemed that Gu An had no designs on benefiting from Tian Hao. Being able to act according to his own wishes, without fearing the threat of the immortal monarchs, also showed that Gu An was very confident in his own cultivation level. What do you need me to do?" The celestial spirit god nodded and then asked. Gu An revealed a smile, saying, "Keep doing what you were doing before." After hearing this, the celestial spirit god furrowed his brow and hesitantly asked, "Do you think him not qualified to help you?" Remembering how he had been defeated by Gu An, his expression became unnatural. "That's certainly not the case. You are a celestial god. Your duty is to protect all living beings, and I temporarily do not need you to do things for me. I have already received your intentions, and we will get along very well in the future. As for the two immortal monarchs, if they come, you don't need to stand up for me. I have my own ways to deal with them." Gu An explained, which surprisingly made the celestial spirit god feel ashamed. Being cast into reincarnation by Gu An, even though Gu An said it was to let him experience the thoughts of mortal spirits and to cultivate a sense of compassion, the celestial spirit god did not take it to heart. He always felt that Gu An did this to suppress him, to make him submit. Now it seemed that Gu An truly cared for all living beings. What kind of magnanimity was this? The celestial spirit god could not imagine it. He had seen many immortal gods, but it seemed that none were capable of reaching the extent of Gu An's actions. The immortal gods often touted their own justice and great kindness, but their attitude towards all living beings was one of indifference, respecting fate and the rules of heaven and earth. Alright, now that we've talked about these things, it's time to properly enjoy some wine. Recently, the Chengquan sect introduced a type of drama that exhibits mythological stories, primarily highlighting emotional expression during character dialogues, which sounds very interesting. Let's go and see it together later. Gu An cheerfully said, and then poured wine for the celestial spirit god. The celestial spirit god felt puzzled. With their levels of cultivation, how could a drama from the mortal world possibly be interesting? And besides, they didn't need to go there in person, they could hear it from here. However, faced with Gu An's invitation, he did not refuse. In his view, Gu An was doing this for two reasons. One was to show goodwill and the other might hold deeper meanings. Next, the two talked only about human affairs, and the celestial spirit god gradually relaxed, his thoughts drifting to a woman within the Chengquan sect. Back in the day, the three of them traveled the world together. Now, all within the same sect, even as a celestial god, the celestial spirit god had a very peculiar feeling. Ia the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The news of the great defeat of the innate human race swept across the world like a storm. The Tao court especially promoted this news vigorously. A legendary name once again broke into the ears of the people of the world. Supporting Tao Sword Venerable. After that battle had ended, the Tao court held a discussion, and combined with the legends from the human world, they deduced that the mysterious savior was the legendary Supporting Tao Sword Venerable. To all living beings, Supporting Tao Sword Venerable was ancient, but to the great cultivators, not so distant. In the beginning, when the great thousand world had not yet reunited, although they were not within the celestial spirit great world, they had felt the vast aura of the Supporting Tao Sword Venerable. They knew that the Supporting Tao Sword Venerable truly existed. Not only that, but rumors about the relationship between Wuxia and the Supporting Tao Sword Venerable also began to circulate. However, because many sects claimed to have a connection with the Supporting Tao Sword Venerable, the relationship between Wuxia and the Supporting Tao Sword Venerable didn't cause much of a stir. Time swiftly passed by. A new year arrived. Tian Hao returned to the Chenkuan sect. Before he had set foot in the Taoist field of the beginningless, he was summoned by Guan. Following the sound, he arrived at a cliffside and saw that there was another person standing next to Guan, also with their back to him. Looking at the figure of this person, he couldn't help but be stunned, his expression turning peculiar. This person was the celestial spirit god. The moment Tian Hao saw the back of the celestial spirit god, an indescribable mix of emotions welled up inside him. Guan and the celestial spirit god turned together, and in the sunlight, they both radiated an otherworldly aura that seemed to merge with the great heaven and earth, leaving Tian Hao inexplicably bewildered. He came back to his senses, quickly stepped forward, and bowed respectfully to Guan. Today I called you here to tell you some matters. All you need to do is listen. Do not ask questions until we have finished speaking. Guan spoke, leaving Tian Hao feeling baffled. After that, Guan began with the introduction of Tian Hao's mortal identity in this life. When Tian Hao learned that the mysterious man next to Guan was his biological father, he was shocked and wanted to ask questions, but was silenced by Guan's gaze. Once Guan had finished explaining Tian Hao's mortal ancestry, the celestial spirit god started to recount the karma of Tian Hao with the heavenly Tao. Emperor Ziwei, celestial spirit immortal venerable, profound star immortal monarch, Tai immortal monarch, golden extreme god, 72 immortals of Jindong, and so on. Hearing all these names, Tian Hao felt dizzy. He had not expected his karma to be so complex and daunting. When he learned that in his past life he had also been a disciple of his master, he was deeply moved. How could the master-disciple bond that spanned reincarnations not touch his heart? Especially since he had always been the one being taken care of. Even knowing that the celestial spirit god was his biological father, Tian Hao still regarded Guan as the most important and most respected person in his life. An hour later, Guan and the celestial spirit god looked at Tian Hao, waiting for his choice. Tian Hao clenched his fists, his face alternating between expressions, and finally, he took a deep breath and said, I choose to go to the misty immortal court. I should be the one to resolve my own troubles, rather than always rely on you both. I will prove my worth in the misty immortal court, and I also wish to ascend to immortality, to surpass these immortal monarchs. No matter their intentions, I will make them regret. He raised his eyes to Guan, his gaze firm. There was something he didn't say, but Guan could hear it in his heart. Guan smiled and said, Then I will start looking forward to the day you surpass me, hoping that in the future, you can be my pillar of support. Tian Hao's eyes widened, and an embarrassed smile appeared on his face. His master had guessed his thoughts again. The celestial spirit god, watching Tian Hao's interaction with Guan, felt a tinge of envy. Before coming clean to Tian Hao, he had to admit that he was somewhat looking forward to Tian Hao's reaction. He had thought Tian Hao might be surprised or angry, but he never expected Tian Hao to be so calm toward him, as if it did not matter at all who his father was. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 631. Because she's the one who resembles me the most. Hearing Tian Hao's choice, Gu En's face showed a gratified smile as he reflected. My young disciple has indeed grown up, knowing he must take on his own responsibilities. Having said that, he stepped forward, moving past Tian Hao. Tian Hao turned around, his gaze following Gu En. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Gu En say, I have entrusted you to your father. At these words, Tian Hao stopped in his tracks and turned his head to look at the celestial spirit god, furrowing his brow. He had a strong aversion to this biological father. From childhood to adulthood, he never lacked a father's love because, in his heart, his master was akin to a father, and he had always been happy without feeling the need for any inexplicably emerging familial bonds. The celestial spirit god, seeing through his thoughts, spoke expressionlessly. I don't intend to continue any familial ties, but rather to head to the misty immortal court. You do well to become stronger. I will pass on divine skills to you. Before leaving, you can bid farewell to old acquaintances and also meet your mother. After hearing this, Tian Hao asked in surprise, My mother? Where is she? She's within the Chenkuan sect. What? Tian Hao was shocked and suddenly felt at a loss. The celestial spirit god raised his right hand, and a dazzling light enveloped Tian Hao's face. In his eyes, the celestial spirit god seemed to have changed. The terrifying cloud that had loomed over the celestial spirit great world for thousands of years eventually dissipated, and the innate demon race members of the human world swiftly vanished, with celebrations erupting everywhere for this victory. Promoted by the Dao court and other major sects, the supporting Dao sword venerable became a known figure in the immortal cultivation realm within just a few decades, even reaching the ears of mortals with his legend. His reputation swiftly surpassed that of the profound star immortal monarch. CTH Nafire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The followers of the profound star immortal monarch, who had been developing for tens of thousands of years, could not compete with a single action by the supporting Dao sword venerable. The common people were not fools. They truly felt the threat posed by the innate human race and thus felt a profound gratitude towards the supporting Dao sword venerable. Since the profound star immortal monarch had never sheltered them, how could the two be compared? There were even claims that the innate human race had been sent by the faction of immortal gods led by the profound star immortal monarch, suggesting that only those in suffering and despair would hope for the salvation of immortal gods. Such provocative statements spread quickly. Time passed in this context. Whether it was the profound star immortal monarch or the Tai immortal monarch, neither sent forth immortal gods again, and as time passed, the influence of the supporting Dao sword venerable's world-saving deeds began to wane since there were always new figures arising to pique people's curiosity. 300 years later, inside the Taoist field of the beginningless, the day was sunny with clear skies and shimmering waters, and even the breeze carried a coolness with it. In the courtyard, Gu En was instructing Shenzhen in artifact refining, who was using his artifact refining cauldron. Gu En no longer crafted Dao treasures himself, but the cauldron, having been used to create many treasures, had essentially reached the standard of Dao treasures, with outstanding refining capabilities. Looking across the entire celestial spirit great world, no other cauldron could compare with Gu An's artifact refining cauldron. An Xian appeared out of thin air behind Gu En and asked, Master, Tian Hao is going to outer heaven, and he said you've agreed. Is that true? Her tone was somewhat anxious. Although Tian Hao had grown up, outer heaven was incredibly dangerous, and Tian Hao was not yet at a level where he could ignore its threats. Moreover, from what she understood of Tian Hao's intent, this trip seemed like a farewell, as he was unlikely to return. An Xian hadn't been overly warm to Tian Hao from childhood, mainly finding it awkward and always reminded of An Hao when she saw him. But now that she knew Tian Hao was the reincarnation of An Hao, her feelings toward him had naturally changed. Her senior brother had always been like this. She had said farewell to him more than once. Without the master, she felt An Hao would have died many times over, a concept she couldn't grasp and wished to oppose. Gu En, with his back toward An Xian, said, This time he's not leaving for himself. What do you mean? An Xian asked. Just as the words left her mouth, she suddenly thought of something. Could it be that the innate human race is here because of Tian Hao? She then thought of An Hao from her past life, who died to save this world. It seemed like Hao never lived for himself. His birth was always accompanied by a mission. Perhaps to the family he was an irresponsible ancestor, but he certainly did not owe anything to all living beings. He even had the merit of saving the world. Guwen did not answer an Xian but continued to instruct Shenzhen on artifact refining. Although Shenzhen was curious about why Tian Hao had left, she did not ask. Ever since she started following Guwen, she saw many people come to Guan's side, and also saw many people leave. In Shenzhen's eyes, within the Taoist field of the beginningless, only an Xian and celestial demon child were like her, able to accompany Guwen continuously. Everyone else more or less yearned for the outside world. It could even be said that they only endured here to become stronger. An Xian stood still, quickly understanding. Her master saw things more clearly than she did, and Tian Hao's destiny pattern was not something she could imagine. She and Hao were never on the same path. They were just born in the same place as children. After a long time, when an Xian completely let go, she was about to turn and leave when Guwen suddenly called out to her. An Xian in a while, come with your master on a trip. An Xian couldn't help but ask in confusion. Where to? Immortal Seeking Island? Guwen looked at her and laughed. Let's go see the place Hao wanted to go. Upon hearing this, and Zin's eyes widened, revealing a look of delighted surprise. After hearing this, Shenzhen immediately turned her head to look at Guwen, wanting to speak, but he pressed his left index finger to her mouth, silencing her. She could only widen her eyes, looking at him with a resentful expression. Okay, an Xian quickly said and then vanished on the spot. Guwen then walked towards his own house. Shenzhen asked, Aren't you afraid that she'll tell Tian Hao since you told her in advance? Without turning his head, Guwen said, She won't do that. Why? Because she is the most like me. Shenzhen was stunned, carefully pondering the commonalities between an Xian and Guwen. Under the night sky, atop a majestic peak, sat a temple without a roof, and on the high platform inside, a figure was meditating. It was Zhang Buku. The current Zhang Buku had a presence that was entirely different from before. His stature was even more imposing. Draped in a black robe embroidered with a yellow dragon, his long hair fluttered slightly. Even though he was sitting with his eyes closed, he emitted an extremely dangerous aura. A figure appeared out of thin air in the temple, a ragged-looking man. It was Suyu, who had once shared hardship with Zhang Buku. Even after following Zhang Buku to attain immense power, Suyu still maintained a beggar-like appearance, making his true cultivation level inscrutable. My demon emperor, are you still here studying divine skills, forgetting about the matter we agreed on? Suyu asked in a whining, teasing tone. Zhang Buku opened his eyes and looked at him, unperturbed, asking, So soon? Just right. There's a transcendental being gathering forces. Although it's the lowest celestial Tao immortal position, the chances are good, much easier than the trials inside the celestial Tao immortal stone. Suyu said with a smile. Zhang Buku hesitated and asked, If I go, how long will it be before I can return? What about our empire? First, secure a foothold upon arrival. That transcendental being wants to take down someone who offended him. This mission is likely about subduing an entire great thousand world. Hard to say how long it will take. As for this demon race imperial dynasty, why worry? It will not face tribulation for a myriad of years to come. You should have confidence. Our deterrent power is very strong, Suyu replied. By the end, his tone held a hint of dissatisfaction. Zhang Buku always managed to find something wrong. He had seen other demon emperors and demon emperors of different great thousand worlds, even witnessed an emperor at the end of the demon race's causality. In his view, Zhang Buku as a demon emperor still fell short. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 632. The Fortune of the Immortal Emperor's Eye. Although Suyu's words were sharp, Zhang Buku had grown accustomed to them. Suyu played an undeniable role in his journey to this day. In critical moments, Suyu was always so reliable, and more than once rescued him from desperate situations. Their bond had long since become one of life and death trust. Then let's go compete for an immortal position. Zhang Buku looked at Su Yu and said earnestly. In his heart, though, he was thinking of two other people. If he could ascend to immortality, he should be able to find Master Gu and Liya. What expressions would they wear when faced with the immortal him? With this thought, his fighting spirit was ignited instantly, and his eyes blazed like torches. Su Yu, seeing him all of a sudden excited, sighed inwardly, truly an enigmatic fellow. At the end of the year, Guan stood on a cliff, braving the heavy snow, watching as the figures of the celestial spirit god and Tian Hao disappeared into the world gate. Guan could see that their journey was going smoothly, but the cause and effect beyond the misty immortal court became unpredictable, indicating that there lay mighty beings in the misty immortal court not to be underestimated. This was good. He needed the misty immortal court to be strong enough now. Moreover, Guan felt that even if Tian Hao was targeted, he would not die. Neither Profound Residence Immortal Monarch nor Tai Immortal Monarch seemed like they would send assassins for Tian Hao, but rather seemed more likely to capture him. Just like the 72 immortals of Jin Dong, upon discovering Tian Hao, they did not annihilate him with thunderous might. They even had the leisure to speak. Hower, what exactly is your origin? Guan's gaze turned profound. His thoughts stretched even further. Who sent and how to Ziwei Immortal Palace? Why did they send and how away to escape the control of the Celestial Court? Even though he had reached Miaozhen Daluo Immortal Realm Perfection in cultivation level, there were still things beyond his comprehension. He wasn't troubled by this, for he had means to resolve his current perplexities. That is to break through. As long as he was strong enough, he would be able to see through the fog that lay before him. Guan looked for a while, then turned and walked down the mountain. The heavy snow soon covered his figure, and the footprints he left behind quickly disappeared, without leaving a trace. Time is like this snow, erasing all marks in the world. Given enough time, even the strongest and most magnificent things will fade away. 10 years later, an Xian followed Guan on the mountain ridge. The setting sun stretched their shadows long. Master, don't deceive me, we are still on the Nine-Spirit continent. How could we reach the place Tian Hao wants to go? You wouldn't use this as a metaphor to teach me some life lessons, would you? An Xian couldn't help questioning, her face filled with suspicion. If that was truly the case, then she would have to forget it. Since he is the master, she could only endure. Guan laughed and said, "What's the hurry? Use your immortal emperor's eye to sense it." Upon hearing this, an Xian immediately activated her immortal emperor's eye, and her pupils turned purple. Her view of the world changed. She found that their surroundings were not the forests of the Nine-Spirit continent, but a mysterious cosmic void. A gray airflow came from ahead, and upon careful sensing, she realized that it was the breath of the Great Tao. She was greatly shocked and began to seriously sense the Great Tao essences along the way. What was going on? Was this an illusion divine power? Or had she actually arrived in another place? An Xian, filled with curiosity, watched Guan's figure ahead. Guan continued to walk leisurely as if stepping over rough mountain terrain, his strides not that of walking on flat ground. Moreover, an Xian felt a strong sense of kinship emanating from Guan. Without guessing, she knew it was the perception granted by Guan's immortal emperor's eye. The master who imparted her with the immortal emperor's eye. Surely he himself had mastered such peerless divine skills. She secretly compared and found that her immortal emperor's eye was far inferior to her master's. This gap was greater than any description in the world. She felt that if she faced her master's immortal emperor's eye, she might not even have the courage to resist. It was an immensely vast aura that made her feel incredibly insignificant. I have many disciples, and they have each received different parts of my inheritance. But the immortal emperor's eye, I have only passed it on to you alone. It is not only because this divine skill is difficult to cultivate, but also because I see the most potential in you. In fact, I think you are my most outstanding disciple, and you will surprise everyone. Guan's voice came from ahead, casual in tone, but the content of his words filled an Xian with joy and surprise. Although she had followed Guwen for 88,000 years, it was the first time she had heard her master speak so highly of her. Whether it was in Hao, Yang Jian, the current celestial demon child, blood prison great saint Lv or Chun Chuan, so many geniuses have appeared under the master's guidance, she never dared to imagine that she would be the favorite disciple of her master. An unprecedented surprise and touch filled her heart, converging into a mysterious force that caused changes in her immortal emperor's eye. Purplish auras escaped from her immortal emperor's eye's purple pupils, entwining around her eye sockets and branding into unusual purple Dao patterns. Although Guwen, walking ahead, did not look back, the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, and Xin's immortal emperor's eye had transformed. The reason for the transformation was not just because of Guwen's words, which were just a catalyst. The main influence was the surrounding Dao intent. At this moment, they were walking on the path of the Great Dao, surrounded by the intent of the Great Dao. The path of the Great Dao is boundless and beyond ordinary natural forms. He used the Daoless celestial net step to walk on the edge of the Great Dao path, where no one could detect their presence. Search ** The Novelier, an ET website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But this path was very dangerous, and the slightest carelessness could lead to complete annihilation. An Xian was unaware of the fortune she was in. She could feel changes within herself, which made her even more grateful to her master. Time seemed to stand still as an Xian gradually entered a state of self-forgetting. Her immortal emperor's eye allowed her to see many impactful images. In absolute darkness, a big explosion occurred, giving birth to the universe, with countless shards of rock flying and becoming pieces of worlds, which then gave birth to all living things. She saw the origin and destruction of life, the collision of Tao creating the rules of heaven and earth, and she even saw terrifying figures standing with their backs to all living beings at the sight of the explosion. So many images overwhelmed her sight, and during this process, she absorbed some power. This power came from the Great Tao. To absorb the power of the Great Tao from something akin to an illusion was beyond Xin's own comprehension. She realized that she still didn't understand the immortal emperor's eye completely. Perhaps the reason her master said she was his most outstanding disciple was mainly because she had cultivated the immortal emperor's eye. Master once said that the immortal emperor's eye holds different divine skills for different individuals, and they are very profound. Perhaps my immortal emperor's eye is more than just about absorbing power for my own use. An Xian thought to herself as she continued to immerse in the current fortune. She didn't know how much time had passed. It could have been a day or two, or maybe thousands of years. Suddenly, an Xian suddenly woke up, stumbled, nearly bumping into Guwen. But fortunately, Guwen steadied her with his index finger on her forehead. "We have arrived," Guwen said with a smile to an Xian, who came back to her senses and looked around subconsciously. They were standing amidst a brilliant starry sky, countless stars and varying massive nebulae visible in every direction. All so beautiful it seemed unreal. An Xian was still immersed in the fortune of her immortal emperor's eye and felt a sense of loss. She asked subconsciously, "Where is this place?" Guwen looked in a certain direction and said, "Misty Immortal Court, where your senior brother will practice in the future, and perhaps he will ascend to immortality there." Upon hearing this, an Xian fully awakened. Her curiosity prompted her to ask, "Could it be that immortal gods reside here?" Guwen replied, "Not exactly, but immortal gods have been born here." As soon as he finished speaking, a rainbow light streaked across the depths of the starry space ahead. It was a cultivator who looked like an immortal, with an extraordinary demeanor, surrounded by several treasures, moving at an extremely fast speed. He suddenly stopped, not far from Guwen, and an Xian stood still, his eyes widened, his body trembling slightly. This scene left an Xian puzzled, and just as she was about to ask, her eyes suddenly widened. Suddenly, a figure burning with black flames appeared out of nowhere behind the cultivator, as tall as 100 feet, like a mountain behind him. The figure with the black flames was raising its right hand, with the index finger touching the cultivator's head. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 633. The great Tao is boundless looking at that black flame figure. An Exian was scared and dared not to speak, for fear of startling the other party. The figure appeared out of nowhere. An Exian was completely unaware. Now just looking at him, she felt chilled to the bone. Even with the advancement of her immortal emperor's eye, she felt terrified when looking at this figure. This was an instinctive reaction to mortal danger, telling her at first glance that she was definitely no match for the other party. But soon, an Exian realized that the person seemed not to see them. She couldn't help but turn her head to look at her master, noticing his calm face, quietly watching the black flame figure and the cultivator. Even that cultivator being suppressed by the black flame figure seemed unfathomably profound to an Exian. Master, what is the cultivation level of the cultivator being pursued? Curiously, an Exian asked. Guwen replied, Heaven-encompassing free immortal. Ranking above profound Yuan free immortal. Heaven-encompassing? An Exian was startled. She knew that above free immortal was the Tao fruit realm, and also knew that the profound Yuan free immortal was the publicly recognized strongest realm in the celestial spirit great world. Even the master of the Tao court was of this realm. The existence stronger than the master of the Tao court was actually suppressed by an unknown being, leaving no room to display the might of a heaven-encompassing free immortal. An Exian asked further, What realm is the being behind him? Guwen answered, Innate golden immortal realm, ranking above heaven-encompassing free immortal, the first realm of the golden immortal Tao fruit. Innate golden immortal, and Xin's horizons were greatly broadened. The higher the cultivation, the less likely it is to overcome a higher realm. If you encounter a being of a much higher realm in the future, it is best to detour, do not try to be brave, Guwen earnestly advised. Encountering such a battle was no coincidence. Guwen had foreseen the nearby battle to the misty immortal court and specifically brought an Exian to see, letting her understand the terrifying world beyond the Great Thousand World. The universe where the misty immortal court is located is not the Great Thousand World. It's more vast than the Great Thousand World, and the Tao rules here are even more intense. After calculations, Guwen knew that such a universe was called the Tao universe, higher than the Great Thousand World. Don't worry, Master. I won't venture out alone. I want to keep cultivating by your side, an Exian said with a smile. She didn't find cultivating by Guwen's side dull at all. She relished the feeling of becoming constantly stronger. Moreover, she could watch the ebb and flow of the human world. If she wished to go out and play, the Chenkuan sect was a good place. Within the Chenkuan sect, she could feel the changes in the world. New and interesting things entered her view every year. Just then, the black flame figure stretched out a hand and, with the touch on the heaven-encompassing free immortal's head, this heaven-encompassing free immortal was obliterated, ceasing to exist. This made an Exian deeply moved. No matter how high one's cultivation is, would there always be a being they cannot overcome? She couldn't help but wonder. This black flame figure is an innate golden immortal, yet couldn't see her and her master. How high is her master's realm? It must be higher than the innate golden immortal realm. The corners of Guwen's mouth slightly curved upwards. Above the innate golden immortal are the heaven-balancing golden immortal and then the Taichin golden immortal. Going further up are the heaven-opening Daluo immortal, Miaozhen Daluo immortal. The gap between him and the black flame figure was far beyond An Xin's imagination and cognition, but he would not reveal his true cultivation level. After exterminating the heaven-encompassing free immortal, the black flame figure vanished into thin air. In the Tao universe, beings of any realm must be cautious, Guwen remarked with a sigh. An Exian admired Guwen even more. With her master's cultivation, he should be able to easily obliterate the black flame figure, but the master never bullied the weak. Compared to those who acted recklessly and without restraint, she admired someone like her master who could control his own desires even more. Although master loves to read some frivolous books, in An Xin's eyes, master is the person who most fits the image of an immortal. He knows the secular world, yet he is not of it. Truly an immortal, yet without the arrogance of one. She will always remember the words her master told her. True strength is not being invincible, but having the capacity to accept those who are weaker than oneself. Guan continued to move forward, and an Exian quickly followed. Along the way, an Exian observed the Tao universe. Every star and every nebula seemed to contain some Tao intent, allowing her immortal emperor's eye to continuously gain insights. She was walking slowly, but the scenery around her moved quickly. She knew this was Master's doing. About an hour passed. Guan stopped walking. An Exian came to his side and looked ahead. Her beautiful eyes widened, filled with wonder. In front of them was a piece of starry sky emitting dazzling light, with majestic immortal mansions suspended, standing above the nebulas like numerous stars, layered upon each other, presenting a vision that shook the soul with its representation of the great Tao. Looking at the grandeur of the misty immortal court, and Xin's immortal emperor's eye slightly contracted, as if to deeply imprint this scene in her memory. Will senior brother be cultivating in such a holy land? An Exian murmured softly to herself. A look of anticipation appeared on her face, hoping Tian Hao would show his peerless elegance in such a place. Guan spoke. The great thousand world is countless, as is the Tao universe. Even as your master, I am not clear on where the end of the Tao lies, nor how many Tao universes there are. Pursuing the Tao is the most wonderful world, and in the process of pursuit lies longevity. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. My child, your immortal emperors, I should not only devour power, but also look at the Tao. The more scenery you see, the higher your Tao practice will be. Wuxia translates to without beginning, just like the infinite great Tao. Listening to Guan's words, and Xin's mindset also began to shift. Pursuing the great Tao. Is this why Master faces all calamities with a serene smile and confronts all tribulations with lightness? An Exian also wanted to possess such a mindset, so she watched very intently. Yet, standing beside Master and looking at the same scenery, she still could not imagine what everything looked like through Master's eyes. Master, has Tian Hao already gone in? An Exian asked. Guan replied, he is currently engaging in combat with someone. This will be his first battle in the misty immortal court, and he will get through it smoothly. An Exian smiled. Hearing Master's words, she was completely reassured. If Master said it would go smoothly, then it certainly would. The Master and disciple stood in the starry sky, gazing at the misty immortal court. An Exian was immersed in the grandeur of the misty immortal court, while Guan felt the destiny of the misty immortal court. The misty immortal court must be hiding a heaven-opening Daluo immortal, but not a Miaojin Daluo immortal. However, this does not exclude the possibility of a factor relating to the Miaojin Daluo immortal in the misty immortal court. Guan inexplicably thought of the Emperor of Eternal Lives Master, Celestial Buddha. Where is Ling Mountain? He suddenly thought to check on Ling Mountain. He began to deduce the fates and cause-effect of the misty immortal court. The misty immortal court is closely related to Ling Mountain, and if he deduced, he would surely find traces. Indeed, he found them. Ling Mountain is in another Tao universe. Compared to the memory of the Emperor of Eternal Life, Ling Mountain is even more vast in Guan's eyes. Under Ling Mountain, several Tao universes are suppressed, and inside Ling Mountain, there are many great worlds, all hidden within the bodies of powerful Buddhist cultivators or certain treasures. The Bodhi sacred tree where the Emperor of Eternal Life once resided conceals thousands of worlds. Although these worlds are not considered great worlds, they too nurture cultivation civilizations. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 634. 10,000 years per page. Guan brought an Exian to the misty immortal court, indeed only to broaden her experiences. After Tian Hao departed, he needed to cultivate another absolute talent for Wuxia, not for any special reason, but because he wished to do so. While an Exian was experiencing the misty immortal court, Guan was feeling the Ling Mountain. Following the endless cause and effect of Ling Mountain, he discovered a vaster heaven and earth, different planes, and he even glimpsed the River of Destiny. Upon seeing the River of Destiny, Guan couldn't help but think of a son from one of his past lives. Lu Qiuxian, the son of Lu Han, born as a primordial cause and effect body. On the verge of death, Lu Han asked Lu Qiuxian to revive himself, but somehow, Lu Qiuxian became bound to the river of destiny, unable to escape from it, yet also thus gaining eternal lifespan. Throughout the long years, Guwen occasionally observed Lu Qiuxian, who, after merging with the river of destiny, seemed like its guardian. His cultivation level was far inferior to Guwen's current one, but with the river of destiny, no one could completely annihilate him. Lu Qiuxian kept searching for his parents within the river of destiny. Guwen saw this but was powerless to help. Guwen's exploration into the path of destiny was profound. He could feel Lu Qiuxian's obsession. If he could meet his father, the obsession would dissipate, and Lu Qiuxian would perish, not entering reincarnation. Thus, Guwen wanted to wait until he was powerful enough to save Lu Qiuxian before intervening. The lifespan reincarnation allowed Guwen to enhance his understanding of the Great Tao and even his life experiences, but it also left many regrets. Lu Qiuxian searched for Lu Han. The Black Profound Emperor sought desperately for Fairy Baixian. The Emperor of Eternal Life wanted to save Fairy Yaoxian. Other reincarnated beings also had their own regrets, though Guwen had few emotional regrets. It was only before death that he felt regret for not reaching a higher realm. Guwen's gaze quickly found Lu Qiuxian. Lu Qiuxian was meditating within the river of destiny. He wasn't cultivating, but endless searching within destiny for traces of his parents. His cultivation level would strengthen over time, and by aura it was already comparable to the heaven-encompassing free immortal realm. Guwen suddenly wanted to know what Lu Qiuxian's state of mind was like over the long years. His pupils suddenly changed, transforming into the immortal emperor's eye. The meditating Lu Qiuxian opened his eyes, frowning as he looked all around. Guwen ceased his probing, feeling somewhat surprised inside. The heaven-encompassing free immortal can sense the surveillance of this Miao Zhendaluo immortal. He felt relieved. Lu Qiuxian indeed had an extraordinary demeanor. If he were still alive today, his cultivation level would certainly be even higher than it is now. Just as Guwen was about to withdraw his gaze, his brow suddenly furrowed. Among the countless causes and effects surrounding Lu Qiuxian, he saw a figure approaching Lu Qiuxian. This figure was very blurry, carrying an overwhelming murderous intent. Guwen couldn't see through this figure, only that it was approaching Lu Qiuxian, and even could not calculate when it would reach behind Lu Qiuxian. This was not an approach in the conventional sense, but a closeness on a causal level. The figure was moving through some sort of causal method to attack Lu Qiuxian. Guwen couldn't warn Lu Qiuxian, and it would have been useless anyway. With the river of destiny, Lu Qiuxian couldn't resist the other's approach. Knowing beforehand was just adding to his worries. After a long while, an Exian retracted her gaze, turned her head to look at Guwen, and saw her master frowning. Following her master's gaze, she could see nothing. This made her nervous. What matter or what kind of existence could make her master frown? In her eyes, there was nothing that could confound her master. Even a deceased person, her master could retrieve them from reincarnation. Guwen's brow smoothed out. He turned his head to look at an Exian, and smiled, asking, "Ready to go back?" An Exian nodded, saying, "It's time to go back. I now just want to cultivate properly. Even though I haven't been out for long, I seem to have more thoughts about the immortal emperor's eye." Guwen looked at her eyes still imprinted with purple Tao patterns and nodded slightly, then turned around and walked back the way he had come. An Exian followed behind Guwen, closing her eyes as she walked. With each step, she left behind a shadow, identical to herself, as if it was a duplicate. 10 steps left 10 shadows. 100 steps left 100 shadows. Although Guwen did not look back, he was aware of the situation behind him. He had already sensed that in Xin's immortal emperor's eye was not so simple. Absorbing external forces and transforming them into her own in a short time seemed powerful, but compared to his immortal emperor's eye divine power, it was far inferior. His immortal emperor's eye could twist reality and fiction, reshaping the past and erasing the future. And Xin's immortal emperor's eye also penetrates the past and future, but it is different from Guwen's reality twisting. As they continued forward, the shadows an Exion left behind began to change. Their clothing altered, and their aura shifted, reminiscent of her from different periods. An Exion slowly opened her eyes, her instincts telling her to look back. Do not look back. Maintain your current sensation. The voice of Guwen came from ahead, steadying Nzin's head. She watched her master's back, and her mind cleared of distractions. They were still walking on the boundless edge of the path of the Great Tao, without encountering any obstacles. An Exion felt as though she had been dreaming, waking up back inside the Taoist field of the beginningless. She turned her head and saw Xian and Chun Chuan standing in front of her master, debating something, while the master had picked up a book again. She didn't feel that what happened before was a dream. She smiled meaningfully and then turned to leave, preparing to go back to her room for secluded cultivation. Shun Zhan, who was sitting in front of the artifact refining cauldron, looked at the departing figure of an Exion, frowning slightly. Previously, she could see Nzin's karma and, through it, envision Nzin's past or future scenes, but now she could no longer do so. Returning from a trip with such great progress? Shunjin wondered curiously, her gaze then following towards Guwen, her eyes filled with anticipation. Guwen, hearing Xian and Chun Chuan arguing, was indifferent and did not look at an Exion but was immersed in his book. When a page flipped, it represented an era in the human world. Sir, the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After 10,000 years, Guwen closed the book, stood up, stretched his body, bathed in the sunlight. His posture was so relaxed. The small wooden plaques at his waist jingled slightly, unbeknownst to anyone that they were transformed by immortals. Celestial Cyan and Tian Bai came rushing from outside the courtyard, and upon reaching Guwen, they chattered non-stop about the legends they had heard. 10,000 years had passed, and many prominent figures and extraordinary talents had emerged in the human world. After the disappearance of Tian Hao, another unparalleled prodigy from the Tao court has emerged, rivaling the legends. The two compared the achievements of this eternal prodigy with those of Tian Hao, debating whose talent was stronger. Guwen had already noticed this eternal prodigy, who indeed could match Tian Hao, for this person was a reincarnation of an immortal god. Yes, an immortal from the celestial court. It was a maneuver by Tai, immortal monarch. This immortal monarch is approaching, ready to descend personally into the celestial spirit great world, for the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave. As Guwen limbered up, he looked down contemplatively. Where should Tai, immortal monarch, be placed? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 635, Guwen versus Immortal Monarch. Master, do you think the Emperor Tianhong of the Tao court can match Tian Hao? Celestial Cyan turned her head to look at Guwen, asking seriously. She couldn't argue with Tian Bai, who always believed that no one could surpass Tian Hao. However, the cultivation speed of Emperor Tianhong was not inferior to Tian Hao, and his battle achievements were even more fierce, often winning across realms and even having records of one against many cross-realm victories, which were both ancient and brilliant. Coupled with the momentum built by Tao court, the people have already forgotten Tian Hao and only sing praises to Emperor Tianhong. From the comparison of battle achievements, Celestial Cyan felt that Emperor Tianhong truly wasn't weaker than Tian Hao. Tian Bai merely looked down on the talents from the outside out of reflex. Guwen replied, within the celestial spirit great world, no one's talent can match that of Tian Hao, and he has even stronger destiny pattern yet to be unleashed. This statement made Tian Bai puff out her chest involuntarily. Guwen continued, but once they leave the celestial spirit great world, there's indeed little difference between the two, and they are bound to leave the celestial spirit great world to venture into higher realms. Upon hearing this, Celestial Cyan immediately smiled and stared defiantly at Tian Bai. Instead of worrying about these, it would be better to think about your own cultivation. Your innate qualities are indeed mediocre, but having cultivated by my side for so many years, you actually have the qualifications to compete with any genius in the world, said Guwen, shaking his head, causing the two women to reveal embarrassed smiles. Their nature was lively, making it difficult for them to concentrate on cultivation for long periods. What Guan said was no false praise. Even the reincarnated immortal god, Emperor Tianhong, did not have the Miaozhen Daluo immortal constantly releasing Tao intent in his previous life. Tianbai, clinging to Gu N's arm, cooed. With so many dojo disciples, there will always be someone who ranks first. We just need to not fall behind. Exactly. Recently, Blood Prison Great Saint's progress has been very fast. He is now unanimously recognized as the #1 disciple of Wuxia. I feel that Emperor Tianhong is no match for him, said Celestial Cyan, hugging Gu N's other arm with a look of agreement. Standing with Tianbai against Gu N's stern criticism, Guan said earnestly, "Actually, in my eyes, you are not inferior to the Blood Prison Great Saint. In some respects, I even think you are the most formidable because you have each other. Just like the Tao treasures I crafted for you, they are meant to complement each other." This statement made Celestial Cyan's and Tianbei's eyes light up, and they began asking in which aspects they were considered stronger. All of a sudden, Guan felt a bit of a headache. He was simply customarily praising them, encouraging them to cultivate actively. They could be excited, but did they have to rub against him in their excitement? After frolicking with them for a while, Guan finally sent them back to their own cultivations. Afterward, an Exian, having received his message, appeared out of thin air in front of him and curiously asked, "Master, what's the matter?" Since her visit to the Misty Immortal Court 10,000 years ago, an Exian had put aside all matters, allowing Celestial Cyan and Tianbai to coordinate with Chenkuan's sect while she remained in closed-door cultivation, studying the Immortal Emperor's eye. This allowed the Blood Prison Great Saint to become the undisputed strongest disciple in the dojo within 10,000 years. Should an Exian and the Blood Prison Great Saint go to battle now, the Blood Prison Great Saint would suffer a miserable defeat, according to Gu An's deduction. With the Immortal Emperor's divine power, an Exian was more than just a little stronger than the Blood Prison Great Saint. Within the same realm, Gu An even felt that An Zin's suppressive power could surpass that of Tianhao. After her visit to the Misty Immortal Court, An Zin's Immortal Emperor's eye fully awakened, making her divine power extremely suitable for battle. It had been 10,000 years since Gu An and an Exian had seen each other, but for an Exian, she did not feel the influence of time on herself. At least her attitude towards Gu An had not changed at all. "I am about to engage in a battle. Would you like to watch?" Gu An asked with a smile. Upon hearing this, An Zin's eyes lit up and she nodded immediately. Just as an Exian was about to ask more questions, the scenery around them suddenly changed, and they appeared beneath the world gate in an instant. Although this was not the first time an Exian felt Gu An's divine powers, she was still startled. In these 10,000 years, she could feel her own progress, which greatly boosted her self-confidence. But facing her master, she still felt like a frog in a well. An Exian did not dwell on this emotion. She turned to look, her gaze landing on the towering world gate. "What is this?" an Exian asked curiously, sensing the boundless power of the great Tao contained within the gate, something she had never seen before. Indeed, following her master out always broadened her horizons. Gu An did not keep it a secret, starting to introduce the world gate to her. Learning that this was the heavenly Tao gate leading outside the Great Thousand World, and that beings could only leave the celestial spirit Great World through this gate made an Exian more curious. Her master didn't use the world gate to go to the Misty Immortal Court before. Gu An then shared the news of the impending arrival of Tai Immortal Monarch with her. Having already conversed with her about Tianhao's karma, she was aware of the Immortal Monarch's background. Tai Immortal Monarch was no ordinary immortal god but an existence higher than celestial gods and star monarchs. The fact that her master was about to battle such a being filled her with anticipation. "Will Tai Immortal Monarch come out from within the world gate?" an Exian asked, her gaze fixed on the world gate. The inactive world gate appeared dark and mysterious, its inner space translucent, showing the cosmic scenery behind it, vast and majestic. Gu An reached for the wooden token at his waist, playing with it gently, and said, "Yes, soon you'll be able to witness the immortal's grandeur." Meanwhile, in a mysterious dark space, the 72 immortals of Golden Cave appeared one after another. They opened their eyes to find themselves unable to take a single step, only able to turn their heads and twist their bodies. They soon all faced one direction, and looking along it, they saw a vast light screen floating in the darkness ahead, allowing them to see the scene of Guwen and an Xian by the World Gate. Source: Web Novel. Com. Updated on Novlove. Com. Sir the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 635, Guwen versus Immortal Monarch. 2-inch. What is this place? It seems we've been sealed by that guy, and he apparently wants us to witness something. Listen carefully to their conversation. Is an immortal monarch coming? This fellow is outrageously arrogant. He is indeed powerful, but how dare he challenge an immortal monarch? Big brother, what should we do? We can't just sit here and wait for death. The 72 immortals of Jindong were agitated, cursing Guwen, and eventually, they turned their gaze towards the purple dragon star monarch. CTH Novlire. NET website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The purple dragon star monarch's face was expressionless. Earlier, when they were sealed into wooden tokens, they all fell into a coma, so they felt as if they had just been captured. But the purple dragon star monarch keenly sensed that a considerable amount of time might have already passed in the celestial spirit great world. If that was the case, what had Guwen done to them during this time? Thinking about the methods Guwen used to capture them made it hard for the purple dragon star monarch to speak and soothe everyone. He felt that Guwen might indeed possess the power to contend with an immortal monarch. He was the only Taiching Golden Immortal, as well as one who attained Taiching Golden Immortal Realm perfection in cultivation level, and his vision was more penetrating. In his eyes, Guwen was definitely an existence of the Daluo realm. Such an existence, not belonging to the celestial court, truly made him uneasy. But there was nothing the purple dragon star monarch could do now, except to wait quietly. In reality, Guwen continued talking with an Xian. He deliberately let the will of the 72 immortals of Jindong fall into his own Dao fruit universe, allowing them to peek at the battle. The reason for doing this was that Guwen had no intention of allowing the 72 immortals of Jindong to leave. Immortal gods might be unkillable, but they could be sealed, and even if they would eventually be discovered by the celestial court, it would at least buy Guwen some time. For the celestial court, tens of millions of years might just be a fleeting moment. From the celestial court's lack of urgency in ordering the celestial spirit god to quickly obliterate the celestial spirit great world, it was evident that their perception of time far exceeded that of mortals. Any immortal god who comes seeking trouble, he plans to seal away. If he released them directly, that would surely bring great trouble. Time passed by second. It wasn't until the world gate trembled that Guwen and an Xian stopped talking. An Xian turned to face the world gate, which burst forth with intense light, converging inside. This was the light of the heavenly Tao, which enveloped the surface of the celestial spirit great world. Feeling the strong light of the heavenly Tao up close, an Xian could sense the might and unfathomable depth of the celestial court. What kind of formidable power could have created such a force of order? As the world gate was fully activated, a vast and infinite aura poured out from within, forming a majestic celestial mist that spread out, striking awe into all who witnessed it. Within the Dao fruit universe, the 72 immortals of Jindong became excited. The immortal monarch has come. He is here to save us, a female immortal said excitedly, her face filled with admiration. The other immortals of Jindong were also surprised and delighted. Despite having heard from Guwen and an Xian that the Tai immortal monarch would come, seeing the aura of the Tai immortal monarch actually appear stirred them deeply, even inciting a sense of sacrificial devotion to the end. On the other side, a figure gradually emerged from the intense light beneath the world gate, appearing as though he had walked from the end of the ages, or as if he had come from the very origin of everything, with an indescribable sacred aura assaulting Enzin's eyes. Enzin's eyes instantly turned into the immortal emperor's eye, with purple Dao patterns appearing around her eye sockets. and her pupils reflecting the figure of Tai Immortal Monarch. During the wait, an Xian had been imagining what Tai Immortal Monarch would look like, but when she actually saw him, she couldn't help feeling an abject sense of inferiority. This was an essential difference in the nature of life. Whether it was cultivation level, soul, or cognition, an Xian instinctively felt inferior to the other. Heaven-defying one, you dare await my arrival here. Do you know what you are about to face? The voice of Tai Immortal Monarch emanated from within the world gate, echoing across the cosmic starry sky. In an instant, with the world gate at the center, the space in all directions burst into multicolored rainbow light, rendering this piece of the universe bizarre and fantastical, mesmerizing and mysterious. Listening to Tai Immortal Monarch's words, an Xian almost felt an impulse to kneel and bow her head. Her mind was shaken, unable to fathom just how profound Tai Immortal Monarch's Tao practice was. Guwen stepped forward and Nzin's intense discomfort suddenly vanished. She looked towards Guwen subconsciously. In her eyes, Guwen's image abruptly grew in stature, and he could even be compared to Tai Immortal Monarch, who was still within the world gate. Within the Tao Fruit universe, the 72 immortals of Jindong also fixed their gaze upon Guwen's figure. In their view, the silhouette of Tai Immortal Monarch, who was approaching them, seemed almost to overlap with Guwen's figure. Despite their hatred for Guwen, from this angle, they had to concede that Guwen's presence was every bit as formidable as that of Tai Immortal Monarch. Fooling all living beings, isn't that also a violation of heavenly Tao? Guwen's voice sounded, his tone calm. Tai Immortal Monarch continued to approach the gate, walking neither quickly nor slowly, but with each step, he displayed an unstoppable dominance. Finally, standing at the edge of the world gate, he remained bathed in the brilliant light of the heavenly Tao. Even an Xian could feel that with just one more step, he could reveal his true form. An Xian saw what seemed to be a scroll floating behind Tai Immortal Monarch. It surged like a river, and on his forehead was a golden pattern. In the absence of distinctive facial features, this golden pattern seemed like a vertical eye, making him appear even more divine, majestic, and inviolable. You dare to talk about heavenly Tao? What are you plotting against the Son of Heaven? The voice of Tai Immortal Monarch rang out once more, this time even more authoritative, thunderous, and deafening. Guwen retorted, I do not know who the Son of Heaven is, nor what he represents. All I know is that you wish to capture my disciple. As for the current situation as an immortal monarch, how do you think it should be resolved? Tai Immortal Monarch fell silent, seemingly not having expected Guwen to be unaware of Tian Hao's origins. But that no longer mattered, as Guwen had interfered with his grand plans and also captured his subordinates. Release the 72 immortals of Jindong and hand over the Son of Heaven. Let us consider this matter settled, and you may continue to hide and cultivate in this world. It will be as if I never encountered you. Tai Immortal Monarch spoke, equally convinced that Guwen was a heaven-opening Daluo immortal hiding in the celestial spirit great world, evidently burdened with consequences unimaginable to all living beings. Guwen must not dare to face the celestial court. Separated by the strong light of the heavenly Tao, Guwen was unable to use lifespan detection on Tai Immortal Monarch, but he could sense that Tai Immortal Monarch was merely of heaven-opening Daluo immortal cultivation level. Such a cultivation level was nothing to fear. You can only choose one, either the whereabouts of the Son of Heaven in your words, or the freedom of the 72 immortals of Jindong. I need one of them to restrain you, to avoid any retaliation from you. Guwen stated placidly. Tai Immortal Monarch did not sense the aura of the 72 immortals of Jindong, but saw the wooden plaques on Guwen's waist. No matter how he looked, those plaques appeared to be ordinary, made of common wood, without any mysteries. However, Guwen's query was met with his disdain. A crude attempt at causing dissension. Do you really think you can trap the 72 immortals of Jindong? Since you insist on setting conditions, then feel the power of the immortal gods. Tai Immortal Monarch huffed coldly and took a step forward. White hair fluttered out from the strong light of the heavenly Tao, followed by the true body of Tai Immortal Monarch. The silver immortal ribbon concealed his eyes, and his pure white Tao robe flowed like feathers. The scroll hovering behind him was unfurling, revealing a vast expanse of heaven and earth. An aura far surpassing that of Tai Ching golden immortals erupted completely, solidifying the Tao rules of the entire celestial spirit great world. At that moment, time stood still, and everything ceased to move, save for the disciples in the Taoist field of the beginningless, who remained unaffected. However, they did not perceive the situation outside the Tao field. An Exian, standing behind Guan, felt it more profoundly. Faced with the might of Tai Immortal Monarch, she couldn't help but worry for her teacher. She felt that even the misty immortal court, when faced with such a terrifying presence, would likely be destroyed. Standing before the world gate, Tai Immortal Monarch slightly lifted his chin. Even with his eyes covered, his lofty demeanor was unmistakable. Regardless, an Exian thought the pride of the immortal gods was extreme, but she also felt it to be fitting, influenced by the Tao intent of Tai Immortal Monarch. It seems you are not as composed and self-assured as you appear. Have you ever pondered upon the sight of yourself kneeling before a mortal spirit? The voice of Guan rose, so very cold. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Novlove. Com. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 636 Celestial Emperor Bloodline Guan's words were like the coldest sword in the world, piercing through the atmosphere of despair created by Tai Immortal Monarch, instantly dissipating the impact on an Exian. In the Tao Fruit universe, the 72 immortals of Golden Cave felt Guan was even more audacious than Tai Immortal Monarch, and this arrogance left them unable to verbalize their curses. For some unknown reason, when Guan's words fell, the 72 immortals of Jindong all harbored the absurd thought that Tai Immortal Monarch was going to be defeated. Standing before Guan, even Tai Immortal Monarch seemed suppressed, and despite his eyes being covered by his silver celestial threads, astonishment still colored his face. Kneel before a mortal spirit? Tai Immortal Monarch asked coldly, as golden Tao patterns on his forehead burst into fierce flames, as if the anger in his heart was instantly ignited, burning fiercely. Boom, S.E. The novel, F. Ire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The entire universe shattered in an instant. The fragments of space appeared like broken glass, piercing into Nzin's field of vision, her immortal emperor's eyes widening, with her purple pupils trembling. She could feel the surrounding Tao rules receding rapidly like startled birds, as an endless sea of stars distanced themselves amidst the space debris. Then, everything abruptly came to a halt. An Exian instinctively turned her head, and wherever she looked, her gaze met suspended fragments of space, layered upon one another, dazzling and alarming her simultaneously. The celestial spirit great world was destroyed. The breath of all living beings vanished, and it happened in an instant. Her gaze shifted to Tai Immortal Monarch in front of her. The world gate remained, while the overwhelmingly powerful Tai Immortal Monarch displayed the posture of an immortal god unquestionably. Merely by his aura he could shatter the great thousand world? And Nzin's mind went blank, as she could only stare dumbfounded at Tai Immortal Monarch. The shattered universe fell into silence, and the strong light of the heavenly Tao within the world gate also disappeared, appearing cautious and gloomy. Just then, she saw a pair of purple eyes emerging from the world gate behind Tai Immortal Monarch. That is... And Nzin's eyes widened. She recognized in a glance that those were the immortal emperor's eyes. Her master's immortal emperor's eyes. Standing behind Guan, she couldn't see his face, and with her divine sense suppressed by Tai Immortal Monarch's aura, she was intensely curious about her master's demeanor exhibiting the immortal emperor's eyes. What she was curious about was the very thing Tai Immortal Monarch feared. Tai Immortal Monarch stared at the purple light in Guan's eyes, gritting his teeth. Immortal Emperor's eyes. No wonder you have the confidence to contend with the celestial court. He stood still, not because he was stunned, but because he was suppressed by Gu An's immortal emperor's eyes. The capability of Gu An's immortal emperor's eyes was not just about reversing the past and altering truth. It also possessed tremendous power. Furthermore, with a higher realm than Tai Immortal Monarch, suppressing him was as easy as flipping his hand. The reason he allowed Tai Immortal Monarch to show his might was to let an Exian truly feel the strength of immortal gods as well as her own weakness. Since guiding an Exian to cultivate the immortal emperor's eyes, Guan truly intended to train her to be his strongest disciple. No matter how formidable Tian Hao and An Hao were, they still basked in the glory of the celestial court. Although Enzin's comprehension grew stronger, she lacked a special destiny pattern and the way of cause and effect. Guan could already see Tian Hao's destiny pattern, so he was sure that the unremarkable and Exian indeed had no great background. Guan looked down indifferently at Tai Immortal Monarch, who had destroyed the celestial spirit great world with a single move, clearly because he feared he couldn't take down Guan and wanted to cause a stir to attract the attention of the celestial court. How could such behavior, treating the lives of countless beings as nothing, not be deemed extremely evil? Unfortunately for Tai Immortal Monarch, he miscalculated. Guan had not been merely engaging in idle talk with Tai Immortal Monarch previously, but instead was enveloping the entire celestial spirit great world with his power of the way of cause and effect, isolating it from the outside world. He dared to do so because he was certain that this Tai Immortal Monarch was not an avatar, which is precisely the strength of the way of cause and effect. For an avatar, the main body is the cause. Guan did not answer Tai Immortal Monarch. In the shattered void all around, his immortal emperor's eye kept appearing, varying in sizes, densely packed, and filled with a sense of oppression. An Exian looked up and couldn't count the number of immortal emperor's eyes. At this moment, she felt that her own immortal emperor's eye was weak, uncertain if she could ever reach her master's realm in this life. Inside the Tao Fruit universe, the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave had not seen the immortal emperor's eye. In their field of vision, the universe only appeared shattered, while their lord Tai Immortal Monarch fell into a bizarre stillness. As immortals, they naturally could tell that Tai Immortal Monarch was engaged in some kind of standoff with Guan. After shattering the celestial spirit great world, it was impossible for Tai Immortal Monarch to simply stop. Which means, it is very likely that Tai Immortal Monarch is being suppressed. Looking again at the cosmic debris around the battlefield, the hearts of the 72 immortals of the Golden Cave couldn't help but feel a chilling dread. Purple Dragon Star Monarch furrowed his brows tightly. He was surprised and even angered by Tai Immortal Monarch's actions to destroy the celestial spirit great world. How could the immortal gods recklessly destroy the Great Thousand World? After the Great Thousand World was reconstructed, the celestial court had clearly abolished the order of destruction. Even if the destruction order were still in place, it was supposed to be the god of destruction who ends it, and not even beings with higher ranks than immortal positions should act recklessly. For the so-called Son of Heaven, should the immortal monarchs go to such lengths? Purple Dragon Star Monarch's mind was in turmoil. He was loyal to Tai Immortal Monarch, but in his heart, the celestial court held a higher place than Tai Immortal Monarch. He supported Tai Immortal Monarch in siding with the Son of Heaven, but Tai Immortal Monarch's actions made him feel that there were other schemes behind it. The Son of Heaven was reincarnated into the celestial spirit great world. Even if Tai Immortal Monarch succeeded, how would a Son of Heaven who had developed feelings for the celestial spirit great world view Tai Immortal Monarch? He did not believe that Tai Immortal Monarch had not considered this point. If so, there was only one possibility. Are you actually eyeing the Celestial Emperor bloodline? Purple Dragon Star Monarch's eyes revealed a color of shock, as an uncontrollable rage surged from the bottom of his heart, followed by a change in his gaze. Anger turned into disbelief. What did he see? Not only Purple Dragon Star Monarch, but other Golden Cave immortals also changed their countenance drastically, some even staring dumbfoundedly. Yet not a single one of the Golden Cave immortals broke the silence. All shocked, they gazed at the screen in front of them. Within the screen, Tai Immortal Monarch trembled all over, his legs beginning to bend as if he were about to kneel before Guan Gu, and looked indifferent towards Tai Immortal Monarch. continuously intensifying the oppression of the immortal emperor's eye. He could make Tai immortal monarch kneel instantly, but he didn't do so. This slowly advancing despair and humiliation were more able to make Tai immortal monarch feel regret and fear. Even if he couldn't annihilate Tai immortal monarch completely, Guan still intended to leave behind an indelible fear. "You?" Tai immortal monarch clenched his teeth, spitting out a word, having exhausted all his strength. He actually couldn't resist the oppressive force on his body. He had almost forgotten the taste of being utterly powerless to resist. He was a celestial immortal monarch, yet he was going to kneel before a mortal spirit. Tai immortal monarch found it absurd. Extreme rage and hatred nearly drove him mad, but madness could not save him. As time passed, the hatred of Tai immortal monarch was gradually replaced by despair. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Novlove. Com. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible.